Good morning. There we go. Good morning. I'm going to try it one more time. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Check, 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 check. Checks, mix. Good? All right. That's better. Thank you, Rusty. Welcome. I'm Richard Rogers, Executive Director for the Association. We're so glad to have you here today. For those of you here in the audience that are here in the audience, I want you to know we're live streaming today as well. So welcome to the folks that are joining us over the internet, and I hope you enjoy the meeting. We're going to start the meeting with a welcome from a board member. I'm sure some of you, if not a lot of you, are familiar with Tom Lundy. Tom Lundy spent a career working with Catawba County and over 40 years of service for Catawba County. And Tom, still hard to hear? All right. We can raise. How about that? There we go. All right. Tom's going to come up and give us a little welcome. Come on, Tom. Try that one.
This has all the makings of a relay race, doesn't it? You hand off the baton and to the next person. Let me add my welcome and appreciation to all of you who came out today and all those who are joining us with the live stream. As Richard said, I spent my career in Catawba County. I retired as the manager 5 years ago. And really glad to see a lot of colleagues from Catawba County. We've got at least 3 tables here of former colleagues, and glad to have all of you all here. This is my second year on the NCRGEA board representing District 2. And I'm just curious to get sort of a sense of who's in the audience. How many of you worked for local government, for city or county government, if you'd raise your hands? Okay, and do I assume the rest of you worked in some capacity for state government, public education, the courts, transportation? Yes, okay. All right, great. Well, glad to have all of you here. How many of you have been retired less than 10 years? Ooh, we've got some long timers here. Well, congratulations to all of you. I'm going to be back up in a few minutes after Richard goes through the strategic plan to talk to you a little bit about how you can get engaged and help make our association stronger. But for now, welcome. We're glad you're here.
Thank you, Tom. Let's give him a little round of applause. Hey. Good work. So I'm going to do 2 or 3 things here in the opening segment. First, I'm going to ask staff to come down in front of the podium here so we can introduce the staff that makes this whole event happen. So hurry, hurry, hurry. So we're going to start from my right here. This is Patty. Patty has joined the association recently, and she's a technical support person for us and helping with our website. She's helping design some programs for us as well, and she'll help you out in a few minutes when we talk about getting online to answer some questions. Next is Daryl Fulmer. Daryl Fulmer has been with us for a little over a year now, and she is our community liaison. You'll be hearing from Daryl a little bit more when we talk about our local engagement strategy that we're looking at in our new strategic plan. To my far left is Karen Jarvis. Karen, well, I hate to say this, but she was our membership coordinator. She retired as of July 1, I think, but we couldn't do without her on the road, so she came along and she's helping us out. So, and then finally, Donna Riggs, who's our communications director, and I've got sad news there too for us, is Donna is going to be leaving us. This is her last round of district meetings, but she has done a great job, and she's the one that has coordinated this and put this all together for all of us. So let's give our staff a round of applause. Thank you, guys. Next, I want to go over a little bit and give you an update about some of the activities that we've been working on. Well, the legislature's the main one, right? That's been in session since January. I also want to give you a little update on our lake case as well. So the legislature, the legislature. They've been in session since January. Guess what? They're still in session. They're supposed to have a budget about the middle of July. That didn't happen. And they are still discussing the budget and trying to sort out their differences. So what's transpired so far is that the House and Senate have both passed a budget. Now they're in conference. They've been in conference for, I don't know, a month. I don't know what, watching paint dry, I think, but they say they're making some progress. There's some major issues that they have differences in. The tax package, the Senate and the House are very much different. My understanding is that they've come to some agreement on that, but there's still a lot of other issues that they're working through. Just reading today, it looks like their timeline is to have a budget by mid-October. So they're going to be in for a few more weeks. Related to the priorities that we had this session, we had four main priorities. Obviously, protecting your pension value was the #1 priority. We looked at cost of living adjustment, and we also looked at expanding the Bailey Act to cover all retirees and not just those that vested before 1989. So I'll go back to that in just a minute. The others were making sure that the retirement system is fully funded. That has happened. In both the budgets, the retirement system is fully funded. The retirement system currently supports about 650,000 active and retirees. Its value is about $121 billion. And there's about 340 retirees that are drawing on that pension plan. Every month, about $600 million goes out in pension checks. So it's a big economic impact that's really good for the state as well. So where we are there is we had two bills introduced for 2% cost of living adjustments. One of the things that we noticed and realized coming into session is that there was going to be a big surplus, a $6.5 billion surplus over and above what the legislature had budgeted the previous year. So there's a lot of money that could be spent and used to support retirees and other people. What happened pretty soon as the budget discussions got going is they capped the amount of money that they could spend to about 3% above what they had spent last year. So they left a lot of money on the table that was not available for them to use in their budgeting process. We had 2% COLAs introduced. We also had a bill introduced for local government retirees that provided a 2% cost, a COLA, not a COLA, but a 2% bonus for retirees. This is the first time any type legislation has been introduced on behalf of our local government employees. The local governments are the ones that fund that system. The state does not take kindly to trying to fund them as well. They got their hands full with the state, they say. But given the excess funds, we thought it was an opportune time to get funding for our local retirees as well. The tax reduction, we had several bills introduced to expand the Bailey Act. It appears that none of those are going to be moving forward in the budget, and we'll get back after that as we into the next session. We've got a couple bills that'll be alive, and we'll continue to work on that. Related to the cost of living adjustments, the Senate in their budget did not have anything in their budget for retirees, local or state. The House had a 2% bonus for state retirees in both years of the biennial budget. So it's a 2% one-time bonus the first year and a 2% one-time bonus the second year. We continue to work on these issues with the leadership and the conferees. We're continuing to push the local COLA, the local bonus as well, and we will keep y'all up to date on how we move forward there. Other issues that is a main priority for us is ensuring the state health plan is fully funded. Again, The House and the Senate both did a good job in funding the state health plan. And then one new issue, kind of expanding our scope, is we supported broadband expansion. One thing that COVID has taught us is that we need to have internet access. When you can't meet in person, when you can't go to the doctor in person, you need to have that type of opportunity so that you can take care of your health, you can stay informed, and we're looking at putting and expanding the broadband. To date, the House has about $1 billion in broadband expansion, and I think that'll go a long way into supporting and helping us. There's a larger need out there, but I think this is a good first step in expanding our broadband. The late case, how many of you are familiar with the late case? Okay. So the late case is a case that was brought by, I think, 13 or 14 plaintiffs in 2012. It is now a class action suit with about 220,000 participants in it. It has been meandering, and I use that term loosely because it's hardly moved over the last few years. But now it's been in front of the Supreme Court for the last year. Just 2 weeks ago, we heard, and it was noticed that the Supreme Court will hear the case, and it will be coming up on October 4th at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And what the case itself is about retiree health care being premium free, and that it maintains an 80-20 coverage. In 2008, premium was put on retirees for their health care, and so that's what this whole suit is about. The objective is to make sure that we maintain quality health care for retirees with premium free. Currently, we have the Humana Medicare Advantage plan. It provides that 80-20 coverage, and there is no premium, but then those that are not in the Medicare arena are paying $50 a month for their 80-20 Blue Cross Blue Shield. So it continues to have some issues there. We will keep you posted. We will also be providing a link on our website for live streaming of the hearing. It'll be an hour hearing for the Supreme Court justices, and then they have the opportunity to make a decision and rule on the case. The thing they don't have is a timeline for ruling on the case, so it may be another little while before we hear from them. So now I want to turn over and move to our strategic planning effort. COVID shut a lot of things down. It didn't shut us down. We quickly transitioned into trying to use Zoom meetings and webinars and that kind of thing to keep y'all informed. We're live streaming. We're trying to give dual options for participation. What we did, our board of directors did not rest, worked very hard. We started a SWOT and strategic planning process last year about this time to develop a new strategic effort for our association. Association is celebrating its 50th anniversary this year. We've been around since 1972. We've done well. We are probably one of the largest, if not the largest, association of our kind in the United States. I think what the board of directors wanted was that we need to maintain and make sure we stay the best association across the U.S. and make sure we stay relevant. Some of the themes that we want to make sure that we are is that we want to remain in front, and we want to make sure that we are the go-to organization for retirees and for those that fund our retirement system. Now, I'm going to ask everyone to do something for me. We're going to have some participation, active participation in this presentation. There's a form on your table. If you have a phone that can take pictures, what you can do is there's a QR code on there. I didn't know much about QR codes until COVID hit, and then all these restaurants didn't have menus, and I was wondering what was going on, and they say, take a picture of this and you can get the menu. So what you need to do is pull out your phone, and if you put that in and take a picture of the QR code or aim your camera over it, you'll be able to pull up an AHA slide presentation, all right? Those live stream, you should be seeing it as well. And there's also on the same page, if you want to log in, you can log in using ahaslides.com/S8DV4. All right, so everybody take that on and give that a go. We're going to get to that in just a minute. Don't worry, if you don't have it, that's okay. You're going to get to participate another way as well as we go. Yes, ma'am. It does. Most phones have that, I think. If you don't have the reader, put in the login information, and then you can pull up the AHA slides. All right? So we'll get to that in a minute. Keep trying. I'm going to go ahead and start reviewing our strategic plan. As I mentioned, the strategic planning effort started almost a year ago. And again, the purpose is to honor those that we have retired and also build the organization so we can be the go-to organization for all retiree information and those that are interested in government retiree information. So I'm going to come through here. We're going to talk about our vision. Our bylaws had our mission statement in it, and it had been unchanged for 50 years. So it needed a little look at. I believe it was about 18 lines long and almost a full paragraph. And so we've reduced it to advance, promote, and protect benefits, interests, and well-being of North Carolina's retired state and local public servants. Again, it's shorter. I think it captures everything that we want to do and be about as an organization. Now, vision statement was something new for us. We really have never looked at it. Where do we want to be? And this plan is a 3-year plan. Where do we want to be in 3 years and beyond? And this statement is the voice and go-to resource for North Carolina's retired public servants. We want to become an agency that all public servants and retired can come to us, get the information they need, and also be better advocates for the association. The values we looked at, we came up with 4 values that we want to operate under. And basically, I think what we did is reflect on public service and how those values translate into your retirement as public servants. Service obviously is critically important. We got to be able to serve you, provide you the needs that you have in order to make you have a quality retirement. Integrity, always want to have great integrity with whatever we do, whether we're advocating on behalf of you at the legislature, at local governments, or whether we're coming to meetings, right, and working with you there too. Collaboration is something that we're really looking at expanding on. We got to expand our partnerships. There's a lot of different organizations across the state that support retirees. We need to collaborate with them, share information so that we can share it with you as well. And then diversity. Diversity is always something that we want to promote. We have a diverse workforce of public servants, and we want to continue to do that in our efforts as well. We want to also represent not only all the demographics, but there's also a diverse group of retirees out there, right? We've got DOT, we've got teachers, we've got local governments, so we want to make sure that we're representing all of those folks as well. Through our process, we came up with 6 strategic efforts and goals that we're looking to do. Start here at the bottom. Obviously, communication is something that we need to expand. One of the things that we found is that we have a dichotomy in our membership. We have those that have been retired for a while. Meetings like this, they work well, but we also have new retirees coming in and pre-retirees that are more of the digital age. We need to upgrade and get ourselves more motivated to communicating with those from a digital perspective so that we can better communicate and have their input and feedback and connect with them. Awareness is another critical area. One of the things we found in looking is we feel like that public servants over the last 30 years have just, the perception has just gone downhill, right? The public does not appreciate the service that these dedicated employees provide them. They don't quite connect their water and sewer and the highway patrol and the protection they get as public services. We need to do a better job, and we're going to be working toward communicating that to our public perception to increase that image as well. All right, I'm going to move up here. We're going to go in. Now, this is where the AHA slides come in, okay? And first, we're going to talk a little bit about local engagement. Local engagement is something that, as an organization, we have done our district meetings. Right? We come around, but we only get around the state once every 3 years. So we come to Hickory once every 3 years to give y'all this information. We need to be about it and do it more often. We want to engage you locally and on the ground so that we can build a community right here in the Hickory area in District 2 so that we can more regularly talk with you. We want to have folks that come in and help us organize ourselves in these districts and connect and get our feet on the ground. And now I'm going to let Daryl come up and give us a few words. She's leading this effort, and she's going to talk a little bit about how we're organizing ourselves. Daryl?
Okay, thank you. Good morning. Can you all see me over this? I'm kind of short here. You know, I tried to grow, but it just didn't happen. Good morning. Oh, I've got to come this way? How far? Right here? Don't fall off. All right, I'll try not to fall off. Okay, all right, guys. I'm a preacher's kid. I am used to recall and response. So I'm going to give you the call, you give me the response. Good morning. Good morning. All right, I need to hear you. I need to hear your voices. And that's what we're all about. This is all about you. And we are working so hard to make sure that we come to you and you have avenues to come to us so that we can deliver information that you're interested in and want us to deliver, because there's so many things that retirees need to know these days as our world is changing. And also, we are all living a lot longer than we were before. So we want to make sure that there's a great quality of life in our stages of retirement. So here you go. Let me tell you about something we have been doing. And some of you, I don't know if any of you in this room have participated, but we've had a trivia game online. We were trying to drive, as Richard was saying, we are doing things more digitally across all of our efforts. So if you haven't played trivia, go online and you can play that. Thank you if you have. There are prizes with the trivia game. And you can learn all about the NCRGEA by playing. So with regards to what I'm doing, we are setting up community advisory boards across the state. So we have 9 districts. And if you join us, you will have an opportunity to voice your opinions, tell us what you're interested in, and work on some projects that we are working on, and suggest projects that might be of interest to you to get people a little more active, a little more engaged with us. And you'll be able to work with folks like Tom Lundy, your district director, and Cecil Wood, the other district director for District 2. So right now we're working on 3 particular issues. One is around health and wellness. And all of us want to be well and we want to be healthy all the time. So let me give you an idea of some of the things that we're looking at. Nutrition, providing information to you about nutrition. We're looking at ways to provide information to you about such things as diabetes, high blood pressure. And one that's really at the top of the list for a lot of folks is dementia. But also, we have an opportunity to work with one of our universities on giving free caregiving workshops so that folks who are caregivers, because many of us are, I am, who need to know how to caregive and take care of yourselves as well. So those are just some of the topics that we're working on, but you can give us more that to think about. We're working on, like I said, health and wellness, so that also includes fitness. And so we need to do things like walk every day and get up and move so that we can stay healthy and wealthy and wise. How about that? You know, if we're moving around, you know, we have a better opportunity to do the kinds of things that we want to do in retirement. We're also working on Welcome to Retirement, both for pre-retirees, those getting ready, and as you're in retiree. One of our members, we've been working with some of the districts already, came up with the idea of a resource booklet, which will have information in there that each of you can use, and it will be posted online where you can get it, or if you need it printed, we'll probably be able to do that for you as well. But these are ideas that came from our members. They're not just ideas that we came up with as staff. And the third one is advocacy training, and Richard will be talking to you more about that and maybe becoming a super advocate so that we can talk with our elected officials so that they will keep retiree issues at the forefront, on their radars. We want them to keep it because we are a powerful population, and we want to make sure that our elected officials keep that, you know, at the top of their heads. And so we'll be working hard to do that. And I think, you know, my final thing is I want to tell you one more thing first. We're working with the senior centers, and so you'll have some volunteer opportunities as well. Through all of these efforts that we're doing, Meals on Wheels and different activities that are provided through there or in our local governments that house these areas. So what I want to tell you is to get involved with us. It won't be hard. We meet now, lately we've been meeting by Zoom, but eventually we'll be coming directly into your areas and meeting with you in smaller groups, in gatherings. There might be coffee chats, there might be tabletop chats, or there might be movie nights. Who knows what you might come up with that might be of interest, because one thing that retirees are worried about right now, and as we age gracefully, is being isolated. And we want to make sure that you are not isolated, because that's not good as we are working together to provide better and bigger services to you as we're working with our strategic plan. So I'm going to hush up right now because I could talk all day. When you give me a mic, it's over. Thank you.
Thank you, Daryl. We appreciate that so much. So now we've got this question on our page here, and if you did get, how many folks got logged into the AHA slides? All right, that's good. That's good. So Rusty's going to bring it up for you. There it is. So what it'll do is you can go in to on your iPhone or computer, whatever you're using, and you can go in and select options that you want to participate in, as social networking, education and learning, volunteering, opportunities to get involved with advocacy efforts as well, and then virtual events. Do you want to get involved through virtual events, or would you prefer events that are in person? All right, there goes the results. Now, what we're going to do with those that aren't, we want your input too, okay? So I'm going to run through here, and by a show of hands, I want folks to raise them if they're interested in social networking. So do you want to go out and get engaged with a group, take a walk, take a hike, and those kinds of things as a small group? Anybody interested in doing that and getting connected through our internet and those kinds of things? Raise your hand, keep them up. We're going to just count them, and we're going to make sure we add it too, okay? We got about 6, I think, there, 7, 8, about 10 would be good, all right? How many of you want to get trained or learn more about certain topics? Do you want to learn more about how to your finances, right? Or do you want to learn more about how to cope with caregiving and things of that nature. I know I'm doing the same thing with my parents, or if you have a spouse, it's critically important. Folks interested in getting information and learning more about those things, all right. Hold them up, I don't count that fast. Absolutely. See, that's the thing with these community advisory boards, we want the input from y'all. And we will come back around and invite you to these groups, and we can start driving and identifying what the focus of each of the different districts will be. Volunteering and community activities. Daryl mentioned our senior centers. They are a great resource, not only for volunteer opportunities, but they also provide opportunities for you too. They have exercise classes and all kinds of things like that. How many folks would be interested in volunteering and working on behalf of retirees in your area? Promotions. We're looking at partnering with Meals on Wheels and those types of things to add value to their services. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 on that one. Advocacy. Yes, ma'am. Yeah. Right. That's what we need. So we can advertise and post it and get people out there. Absolutely. Indeed. But those are the types of things when we come into the community, we're going to want input and feedback on. Advocacy. How many of you are interested in getting more information and learning about advocating, learning more about our priorities, and getting engaged with your legislators at home? It's critically important. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. We got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right, we got 9 folks there. Virtual events. You know, virtual events, we have really expanded the opportunity to communicate, and they really do a great job in enabling us to communicate at multiple places at one time, just like we're doing with our live stream today. How many of you appreciate or would like to participate in more virtual events, whether we do live stream or webinars or things of that nature? Anybody? All right, we got 3, 4, all right. 4, I think, Karen. And in-person events. People like in-person events, right? And I think what we're doing here is it's not going to be all like this every time, but we can have coffees, we can get together socially, and things of that nature. Who's interested in doing that, getting out and about a little more? We're all trying to come out of this effort and with COVID and things. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. Got 32. All right. Thank y'all so much for that. I got another question for you, all right? What is it that you're interested in mostly, and what will make you and won't you inspire you to attend a local event? You know, personally, it's always food for me. If there's food, I'm going to be there, right? So, again, online, if you can type in food. Somebody yesterday typed in wine. We might be able to do that after 5 maybe, but any type of activity, and what is it that would draw you to it? Is it educational information? Is it more information about retirement? Just type that in, and then we're going to ask you folks if y'all want to comment and add to that. Does anybody have any thoughts on that from the floor here? Nobody. All right. Yes, ma'am. Right. There's a microphone for you.
I'm missing something is what I'm getting at. We used to have at our senior centers teachers who taught art,
Right.
carpentry, crafts of all types, pottery.
Absolutely.
We miss those teachers
Right.
in our community colleges.
I agree 100%, and I think that's a great thing. And Daryl actually worked with the community colleges, and we're working with them as well to try to get these activities out there. And we will definitely support the effort to bring it back if it's
Yes.
gone, and find other opportunities of that nature for you. All right? Any other thoughts on that? Here we go. It's loaded up. Educational events, definitely we can do that. Question and answers, I think that's a great point. In smaller groups, you can really get into questions and answers and inform folks. Community service, again, getting together and doing something is something that I think is a great opportunity and something that we'll look for. Learning more about retirement COLAs, where we are in the retirement system as well. So this is all great information. Now what we're going to do is take this information back and inform us and inform Daryl a little bit on what we can do. Yes, ma'am.
Have you thought about a group from the retirees to help with ideas on legislation for us?
Absolutely.
For example, I was thinking when you said it passed again that they had to fund, that we would not have to pay premium.
Right.
What I'm concerned about is so the insurance companies who would love to keep this account, when they go, I've never heard of an insurance company that does not go up on premiums.
Right.
Okay, when they go up, it's interesting that our copay and deductible also go up.
Right.
I'm wondering if the state has a flat line that they will go to and that's it, and if the insurance insists on going higher than that, if they're just passing it on to us under a disguise that yes, we are still paying the premium.
Yeah, the insurance, the state health plan is a little different. The state has a contract, and they have a 3-year contract, and the treasurer is responsible for that contract. So they keep it in pretty tight, and every 3 years they'll go out if they want to increase the premiums and keep pushing those up on it. I think they'll get a bid, and it'll happen. And you know, one thing that happened recently is Humana came in, United Healthcare, that changed, and that was simply because of the contract process as well. So a good point. I think the opportunity to educate and talk more about it, learning more about the retirement system and how it operates is another area I think that we could do in. All right, so we're going to go back to our. So this is me with technology. We're going to see if I can make it work here. So next, advocacy is another area that I want to talk about real quickly. We've got a couple slides here as well. One of the things that we do, we advocate, and we work the legislature when they're in session a whole lot. We have some lobbyists, myself, we're down there talking to them. One of the things we don't have is we don't have a ground game as it relates to relating to our members of the legislature. What they like to hear is they like to hear from their constituents. And we need to build a forum so that our constituents can talk to the legislature, get to know them, the legislature. The other day, we had a comment that, you know, nobody's talking to anybody, it's just so partisan and everything of that nature. And that's true. But I do believe, and I've worked the legislature for 30 years, that it's all about relationships. And it doesn't really matter where you are on different issues. We want them to be in the same place on our issues. So it's about building relationships, getting familiarity with them, and we need constituents of theirs to build that. So what we're looking to do is provide some advocacy training and also get with you and see who is interested in talking with their legislature, trying to set up some face-to-face meetings so that they'll sit down, they'll see you, you're a constituent, and they'll respond. They'll listen, and it's about talking about it. You know, they'll say, well, we put in $1.4 billion in the retirement system every year, and every year it goes up by $200 million. And that's where they're coming from. They don't understand that your pension value has gone down 14 or 18% over the last 10 years, and it's tough making ends meet. So these conversations need to happen with constituents and legislators. So that's what we're looking to do here. Now, I got a couple questions here we'll run through real quick. So, let's see. So this is just a yes, no, maybe of if you're interested or feel like you have the capacity to talk with legislators currently and are willing to do that. All right, by raise of hands, let's just kind of see who's comfortable talking with legislators and communicating with them about retiree issues that you have. Yay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right. How many of you, if you knew more about our priorities or knew more about the legislature or knew how to address them and those kinds of things, would be comfortable and feel like you would want to talk to legislators and meet with them on a regular basis? Anybody? Kind of there, but they'd love to, but need to know more? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right. About 9 there, Karen. And then how many of you just say, yeah, no, I don't want, that's not my bag. I just don't. Is that the rest of you? Come on. I hope not. Our graph of those that came in line were about split between yes and no. All right. There we go. There we go. All right. Now, so here's one little question that says, what might make you feel better about talking to legislators? So those of you that are somewhat interested, what is it that we can do for you to help you feel more comfortable about it? Dial that in if you're doing AHA slides, and then anybody in the audience have a comment?
You do have one from online if you want to hear it.
All right, let's hear it, Rusty.
Online, this comes in from Laverne, saying local governments and county commissioners don't listen to retirees regarding the decreasing values of retirement incomes.
Yep.
They totally ignore our needs.
Yeah, and that's correct. I think one of the challenges there is an educational opportunity. We did some polling several years ago and talked to local government elected officials, and they met at the county level. I'm not going to say what county, Tom, but they met at the county level, and they came back and said, the legislature does that, and that's not true. Local governments fund and put money into the retirement system. So we've got some work to do with them as well to help educate them about their contribution and what they do on a regular basis for retirees. All right? Educational materials, I agree. I think we can do a better job of getting our priorities out and talking to people about what it is that we're interested in and giving them some detailed bullets about why we're doing this and why this is a need. Absolutely. Training on lobbying, absolutely. As advocacy training, we're going to be coming around later in the fall and trying to set up some advocacy training opportunities for folks in districts as well. Background on issues, absolutely. One of the things here, I think, is a general understanding of how does a pension plan work. You know, there's a lot of things that, and why we haven't gotten a COLA out of the pension system over the last 12 years, right? So this is interesting, and we need to do better engagement with y'all on that as well.
We can't have that.
All right. Boy, we're doing the mic relay today. All right? Hold on. I need to. Uh-oh. I told y'all it's me and technology. All right. Great. So one more item I wanted to go through from a strategic planning process real quickly. is service. Service is critically important, and keeping you informed about information that are of interest to you. And this is a top priority. It's been a top priority for our organization over the last 50 years. None of that's changing. You call our office, we're going to pick up the phone. You're not going to get some message that if you want so-and-so, please dial this. The people that answer the phone can answer your questions, and we're going to continue that type of service, but we're going to look to expand it as well, to provide some more information on our website and make sure that our website is kept up to date with information that y'all need and in order to better serve you. So we got one other question here we're going to go through real quick. Uh-oh. Look at me. How do I get rid of that? There it is. Oh, there we go. All right. Yes, ma'am. Well, choose your favorite one. We'll get that worked out. She's not very sympathetic with me, is she? My gosh. She's working me here. She said on the online she can't choose as many as she wants, so I'm trying to fix that for her. But here we got, look. All right. We're going to start it over here. See if we can. All right. Well, I tell you what, you get with us after this, we'll make sure you get everything in you need, all right? So, opportunities of education of areas that you want to learn more about. Obviously, the retirement system and what's going on there. Maximizing COLAs, I think, is of an interest for everybody. And we're going to continue to work on that with your support and as well. Tax policies is another area. How many folks might be interested in learning more about the tax policies we have and how to manage that better? All right, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, about 20, I think. That's good, good. Maximizing COLA, I'm just going to assume everybody in the room, right? We want to make sure that we get that done, right? So, sorry? Maximizing COLAs, making sure you get your cost of living adjustments on a regular basis. Absolutely. Broadband access. Does anybody have concerns about broadband and not being able to get? There's one. Absolutely. Absolutely. Anybody else with broadband access? Consistent upload and download streams for your broadband? Are you interested in learning more about political candidates in your area? We have worked to try to do that through webinars as well. All right. So we're going to, so one of the things about the strategic plan, as you can tell, there's a lot of activity going on with our strategic planning efforts. And one of the things that happened the first time we met is that, how many of you have been through strategic planning processes during your professional career? Anybody? Yeah? So about 3 years after you go through that, somebody runs to the library or to their shelf in their office. They go, oh my gosh, we're supposed to report out about what we've done on this. And everybody's looking around and they write something, right? But nobody's really taking it on, because typically these things are done as an additive. All the things that come out, everybody's got a job to do, they work hard, and then they get added this stuff on, which is not core and primary. Our association is going to make this our core focus. We're going to change our job descriptions. We're going to make sure that we're focused on this so that we can implement it. Martha Sue Hall, as our vice president, says, I don't want it to go on the shelf and collect dust. So we're going to be very concentrated on making it happen, because we indeed do want to continue to be the voice for retirees, and we want to continue to be the voice for the next 50 years. We've got a 3-year plan. The first year we're going to focus on branding and re-imaging. So we need to get our name out there so that people know who we are and what we're about, and making sure that we provide that. And also coalition building is partnerships, expanding those partnerships I talked about a little earlier. The second year, we're looking at focusing on training and leadership opportunities and increase engagement, getting out to y'all in your local areas, talking about the things you want to talk about, and bringing information to you that you want to hear as retirees. And then finally, on the third year of implementation, we hope to be closer to acknowledging and achieving that vision that we're looking at of being a go-to organization, and making sure that we have elevated that influence on the legislature, on local governments, and making sure that we're there for them and they're there for us. So we're excited about this, and now I'm going to have Tom Lundy come up and just say a few words about the plan and some thoughts he has. Tom?
Thank you, Richard. As Richard said, the board and staff spent a lot of time working on the strategic plan, and some of you may have been involved in surveys or interviews that took place on that on the planning process. But I hope you would agree that any successful organization is strengthened by the involvement of its members and making sure that the association reflects the interest of its members. And I think there's some very easy things that all of us can do to try to achieve that goal. And I want to suggest 5 easy things that all of us can do now to help out. First of all, think about a friend or a colleague who's now retired, who is not a member of our association. We have 65,000 members of our association, which is a strong group. Anybody have a guess on what the potential membership number is in North Carolina? Like 300,000. So while we're a strong organization and a strong association, if each of us would go out and recruit one other member, we could have a much stronger voice. Also think about people who are on the cusp of retirement, who you know are going to be retiring very soon. Encourage them to consider membership in the association. So that's the first thing. Invite a friend or a colleague to become a member of the association. Second, we've talked about the different forms of communication. We will continue to do traditional mailing services like the newsletter, but as we migrate to other platforms, email, it becomes important that we have your correct email address. If you are comfortable or like receiving text, it's important that we have the right phone number, because there will be times when things may be urgent. It may be important that we reach you quickly because of what we'd like you to help do in the community. So if you can make sure that we have your correct, not just address, but correct email, correct phone number so we can contact you. That's number 2. Number 3, I would encourage you to consider volunteering for the community advisory groups that Daryl spent some time talking on. It's a way for us to connect socially, but it's a way for us to also get together in small groups, whether in person or virtually, and talk about what the association needs to do and could be doing for all of us. Several of you have already filled out the form and expressing your interest. At the booth outside, Daryl has additional forms, so I would encourage you to drop by if you're interested in those community advisory councils and express your interest. Number 4, let the board and staff know what services we now provide that are helpful and what services that we're not providing would be helpful to you. Let us know what programs are of interest to you. And let us know if you have other ideas for the website, links that you would like to see on the website that perhaps you use now for retirement information or health or wellness information that you think would be of benefit to other members of our association. And then 5, if you have influence with a particular member of the North Carolina General Assembly, we'd like to know that. So as Richard said, we have paid lobbyists, we have paid staff that lobby, but as he mentioned, what's most effective is if you know somebody and have a relationship with them. So if you've been involved in a senator or representative's campaign, if you go to church with them, if you're a neighbor, if you're socially acquainted with them and you would feel comfortable using that relationship where we have important issues to talk about, it would be helpful for us to know that you have an entree and an opportunity to talk with a member. We know that public service is very important. We know that it's not just a career, but it's a calling for a lot of people. We're the people who make sure that when the tap is turned on, we've got clean drinking water. We're the people that make sure that the trash disappears magically, but it's safely disposed of. We're the people who make sure the roads are paved, who teach and care for our children, who protect the public health, who respond to emergencies. We thank you for all that you do, all that you have done as public servants for North Carolina's citizens. And again, we thank you for being here today. My contact information is on the NCRGEA website, my email and cell phone. Please feel free to contact me if I can be of any help, as well as the other director from District 2, Cecil Wood. And again, thank you all for being here. Richard?
Thank you, Tom. Appreciate those words. All right, we're going to move on into the agenda now, and we're going to transition a little bit, and I'd like to welcome up to the podium Mark with the retirement system, and he'll be up here in just a moment, and also Leanna with the local government federal credit union. All right, be right up. Yeah, y'all can get in. All right. Mark, take it away.
Thank you, sir. Good morning. My name is Mark McCluskey. I work with the North Carolina Total Retirement Plans in the capacity of working with your supplemental savings plans. For those of you who took advantage of the 401k, the 457 plan, and then the 403b for our educators, I work with that plan. I'm actually the retiree advocate for the plan, so the 300,000 plus retirees around the state have my cell phone numbers should they ever need anything. Yes, sir. Okay. Trying to be COVID protocol here and keep it like that. But anyway, getting back to this. So my name is Mark McCluskey. I'm the retiree advocate for our supplemental savings plans, the 401k, 457, and 403b. For those of you that took advantage of them while you were working. I also work very closely with the Department of State Treasurer on the total retirement plans, meaning how we coordinate with your pension, savings, and other aspects of retirement. I work with a team of counselors. We've all been doing this a very long time, and we are blessed to be the record keepers of the North Carolina plan. Prudential is the record keeper. A lot of times we hear it referred to as the Prudential plan. It is not. It's a North Carolina plan. It has the same level of oversight and the same efficiency as your pension plan. And I don't want to steal the treasurer's thunder because he's going to talk a little bit about that when he comes up to join us a little later. But you'll hear about how well run those plans are. Your pension plan is recognized as being one of the top in the entire world, not in the country, in the world. It is benchmarked against pension plans all across America, of course, but also internationally, and it is literally award-winning. We are one of the most solvent plans out there, and their focus is to pay everyone forever, and that is their mission, and they are very good at it. The same level of oversight and commitment from the Treasurer's Office goes into your supplemental savings plans. So over the last 4 years, he has saved our participants over $400 million in Wall Street fees. These are fees that just would have went out to some other place through commissions or through contracts that weren't in the best interest of the state employees. Again, that's something they work tirelessly at. We are privileged to be the record keeper. If you have any questions about that, and really any other retirement savings that you might have, I could probably help you with that. I've been doing this a lot longer than one might imagine. I actually started with Prudential in 1986. So I would have been Bailey vested if I came to work with you all, but I did not. But it's been a great career, and my wife's a Wake County teacher, and my son's a local government employee. So I have a great passion for the work that I do, knowing that it directly impacts those that I love. For those of you with the plan in retirement, maybe some recent retirees that are maybe thinking about what level of service will I receive, the level of service that you receive as a retiree is no different than as our active employees. You still have access to a retirement counselor. You still have access to all of the websites and technology that we have. We have new technology. For those of you that like to do things on your phone, there's a mobile app you can download from your app store called Prudential Retirement. And as long as your account is registered online, where you can go and check your account online, you can download this app. I have one on my phone where I click on it and I can see my account balances. I can make changes in my contribution rate, which if you're retired, you wouldn't be able to do that. But if you wanted to look at your allocation, make sure that you're on the right track, you can do all that. I suggest you don't check it every single day. You'll go out of your mind because the days that it's down, it's no good today. If you do have it, check it today, because yesterday was very good. So your account balance will look very good today. For the computer access to your account, it's ncplans.prudential.com, and if you'll stop by my table outside sometime throughout the day, it's on my business card and also on all of the literature that we have out there. But it's ncplans.prudential.com is the website, and once you have your account registered there, you can get the mobile app if you like to do that sort of thing. You could always just call us. We're a resource for you. If you haven't reviewed your account lately and you'd like to, I have my computer set up and I could go over that for you, make sure your allocation is okay. You could double check whatever you'd like to talk about. And make sure that your allocation among the different accounts that we offer is appropriate for where you are in this point in your life, meaning that I'm nearing retirement. My allocation of my accounts looks a lot different than it did when I was in my 20s and first starting, meaning that back then, if the market, we call it a correction now, not a crash, right? If the market corrected, we don't like to use crash anymore, it didn't really matter to me because I had time to recover from that. This past March, not the past March, but March of 2020, for those of you with savings accounts that had stocks involved with it, you saw it go down maybe 30 or 40% in some cases. That one recovered very quickly. We were back by October of 2021, so March to October. But for those folks that maybe reacted and got out, they were the ones that wind up losing. So you got to make sure you're diversified properly. In 2008, when that happened, if you all remember that, same thing, took a tumble. It took 4.5 years to get back, just to get back to where you were when that started. So I went through that myself, but I was working and I had the time to do that. Now that I'm nearing retirement, I don't want to have to take 4.5 years to recover from that. So just something that we could discuss and go over. For those of you who recently retired, please know that you do not have to make any changes to your 401k, 457, or 403b plan. You do not have to roll it out. You'll be approached by advisors who will invite you to a dinner seminar. My wife is getting those now to say, hey, congratulations on your retirement from the state of North Carolina. Please join us for an evening to talk about the decisions that you need to make about your 401k plan. That is not the case. You can leave it in there, enjoy the same level of service, And most importantly, the fees I mentioned earlier, how we keep them lower, they are significantly lower than anything you're going to find in any other product. They'll show you some bells and whistles that seem very attractive, but when you look at the cost of them compared to what you have with our plan, there's no comparison. We actually have a tool on the retirement website, the myncretirement.com. I hope you're all familiar with that, myncretirement.com, that has a cost comparison sheet. So if you are considered rolling into an outside investment firm, you could pull it up. It'll have our products there with how much they cost and what are all the features and the benefits. And then there's a place to fill that in for the product that you're being proposed and a place for that advisor to sign. I encourage you to do that before you make a decision to roll out of the plan. It's very important that we make sure that you're aware of your options when you retire. I mentioned the treasurer. 2 of the last 3 years, the plan has been run so efficiently that he declared a fee holiday where fees were waived completely, and that saved our participants, the people in the plan. It all went directly back to them. Over $2 million spread among all the people in the plans each year that he did that. So again, just another little advertisement for them. Required minimum distributions are a big topic of conversation, especially at these meetings, meaning that the IRS gives us great tax incentives for us to save for retirement. Why is that? Well, they want us to be more financially secure, so we'll be less of a strain on government systems. Not everybody has a pension and Social Security. It used to be they did. 8 out of 10 Americans do. Now less than 2 out of 10 Americans have any other income aside from Social Security. It's actually 15%. 1.5 out of 10 people have a pension aside from Social Security. So people are relying on their retirement savings. It's got to last a long time. And but even if they've done a good job saving, once they get to a certain age, the IRS wants to take that money out and have you pay the tax on it a little bit at a time. It's called the required minimum distribution. It used to be at age 70 and a half. You had to start them. It was just raised to age 72. So for those of you nearing that, that's going to be coming. Now, there are some bills in Congress that have some legs, and they are being discussed where they're possibly going to either raise that age, they're saying maybe age 75, or possibly have a protection for maybe the first 250,000 of account balances wouldn't be subject to them. Both of those bills have legs. They have bipartisan support, one of the few things that do these days. And there's more to come on that. But as of right now, it's age 72. If you have any questions about that, I'd be happy to answer them for you during one of the breaks. And I'll close with that the folks in this room are looked up to by the next generation and the generations to come. I mentioned my son in local government. When he went to work for the town of Hickory after graduating from NC State, he's a turf management agricultural major, and now he's in charge of the professional soccer stadium that we have there, where they have all the national championships and all that stuff. He actually does the field for that. I'm very proud of him, and he loves his work. But when he went to work for the town of Hickory, he had me cracking the whip, saying, hey, you need to sign up for your 401k or 457 plan, and you need to set aside X amount per month, and every time you get a raise, you need to increase it. And well, he has me doing that. Not everybody does. That's where I'm going to ask you to come in. If you have relatives, nieces, nephews, grandchildren, neighbors, whoever you know that's going to work for state government, please encourage them. Get to know your counselor. They all have a counselor. The list of counselors is out on my desk if you need it. They have somebody who will walk them through, hold their hand, and get them enrolled and stick with them throughout their career to make sure that they make the most of their retirement when that time comes. It seems like it's a long way away, but as you probably know, it'll be here before you know it. So I thank you so much for your service to make North Carolina the greatest state in the union, and I'm here all day, and I hope that you'll stop by and say hello.
Mark, thank you so much. We appreciate for that information as well. And as Mark said, the treasurer is planning to be here and give y'all a presentation around noon, so he'll get in right before lunch. All right, next up, we have Leanna with the Local Government Federal Credit Union, and she's going to give you a little information about their services. Leanna?
Thank you. My name is Leanna Lott. I'm a Senior Membership Development Officer with Local Government Federal Credit Union, and it's a privilege and an honor to be here with you today. I too have a soft spot for state retirees. My mother was a school teacher, and so were the majority of that side of the family. So my thanks to you, to many state employees and local government employees for what you did and what you continue to do here in the state of North Carolina. So just a little bit about Local Government Federal Credit Union. We are the first credit union here in North Carolina to serve city and county government employees, retirees, volunteers, and their immediate families. Local Government Federal Credit Union was actually formed out of State Employees Credit Union. We are two separate entities. Back in March of 1983, the North Carolina Banking Commission came along and said, you folks that work in local government cannot be a member of State Employees Credit Union because you're not a state employee. So those folks said, well, we still need a credit union. What are we going to do? So they got together and formed a credit union in the same image of State Employees Credit Union and filed for a charter and formed North Carolina Local Government Employees Federal Credit Union, which has since been shortened to LGFCU. And we were formed to cover the local government side of employees here in North Carolina. So we entered into a service agreement with state employees at that time to continue using their branches, using the Cash Points ATM system. They handle the back end of things for Local Government Federal Credit Union, and we're very fortunate to be able to have that relationship with them and continue still today. So anywhere you see a State Employees Credit Union branch is where local government members go. We don't have a sign outside, we have a sticker on the door, and that's why I have a job. So, is to make sure that folks know about Local Government Federal Credit Union. When you become a member of a credit union, regardless of which one it is, you are a member owner. Credit unions are not-for-profit entities, so we're not in it to make money for shareholders. That's what other financial institutions do. We are in it to serve our members. That's why we're here. So we're able to give you better rates and cheaper fees. And if there's anything we can ever do for you, or you think there's something that the credit union needs to improve on or something we should bring, it's time for you to use that voice. I know you're advocating here today, and we want the best for our retirees, and we want the best for your credit union. So anytime you have a question or a comment, you need to let us know at the credit union. The door's always open. So across the state, there's over 250 branches. We've got over 1,000 Cash Point ATMs statewide. We've got a 24-hour call service. You can call and check your balance. We now finally have, local government has a mobile app. SCCU has an app as well, but local government, we just released ours a couple months ago. So we're there to help you online, by phone, in person. So a few of the products and services: savings, checking, money market, CDs. To become a member of local government, you open a $25 savings account. That makes you a member. It works the same way with SECU for those of you that are members with them. And once you join, your family members all become eligible. So that means your spouse, parents, siblings, children, grandparents, stepchildren, people that live within a common household, they all become eligible for membership just by you opening that $25 savings account. It's kind of like a spider web. So all the products and services, once they become a member, become eligible to them. I've had some folks this morning ask about some share term certificates. We do IRAs, money market share. There's all kinds of deposit services, lending services, car loans, mortgages, home equities, personal loans. If there's anything that we can help you with that, by all means, let us know. We actually do insurance too. We do home and auto insurance. We do renter's insurance. We do have some term and whole life products. That's something that we brought on board several years ago as well. So let us give you a quote on any insurance service that you might need. It's free. Financial wellness. We do have certified financial planners in our branches. You can go by and speak with someone, regardless if it's questions about your credit report, if you're trying to figure out the best way to use your retirement money, get out of debt, those sorts of things. So we are there to help you in any way that we can. Again, these are a few more of the member services that we have. Complimentary notary services, safe deposit box. Some of you may take advantage of that now. Car buying service, which I think is one of the best things we have. That is a service where if you're looking to purchase a new car, if you will call the credit union, we will help you find that car. We will track down the car. Say it's a 2021 Ford Explorer with all the bells and whistles. You call us and let us know what you're looking for. We're going to find you the best deal, call you back and say, hey, we found this. And we'll basically take care of getting that car for you. We can do the loan for you, and we can have that car delivered to you. You don't even have to set foot in the dealership. And we do auto insurance too, so we can take care of that. So it's one-stop shop if you want us to help you. We're there to do that. And estate planning. I know some probably have something in place. If you don't have a will or you need to make changes to the will that you have, please come see us at the credit union. Our estate planning program is one of the best, and I don't say that just because I work there. It is. There is a will, a living will, a healthcare power of attorney, a durable power of attorney, and the HIPAA authorization. Those 5 pieces, it's $325 for an individual. That's not $3.25, that's $325, and $425 for a couple. You start calling around and asking attorneys what they charge, they're going to charge you $425 to pick up the phone to tell you they don't charge you that. So if you are looking to make some changes, if you don't have a will, please by all means come to the credit union and let us help you with that. If we don't do anything ever for you, let that be the one thing. And with that, I say thank you. Thank you again for your service to the state and to local governments here in North Carolina. If you have any further questions, I'll be here all day. Thanks.
Leanna, thank you so much. We certainly appreciate that. Next, we're going to invite Roberta Hamby from the State Health Plan to come up, and also Michelle Talman from Humana to come up and give you a little overview. Now, what we're doing, local government folks, where are you? We're going to need y'all to go right across the hall into another room, and we're going to have the SHIP program and also some local options presented for your health care as well by Humana. So we'll take a brief minute for transition here, and then we'll get started again, okay? Local governments, if y'all just go right across the hall, and we've got you set up in there.
Kind of need that. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started. As Richard indicated, my name is Roberta Hamby. I'm with the North Carolina State Health Plan, and we'd like to thank you for the opportunity of coming out and speaking with you today about the State Health Plan and the options for 2022. So during today's presentation, we're going to speak about those options, but also take a deeper dive into the Humana Group Medicare Advantage plans, which Michelle Tallman will go over with you. Then I'll come back up and speak about the 70/30 PPO plan, as well as open enrollment, whether or not you have to take action, and how to take that action if you need to do so. We'll look at the premium rates for 2022 and how to make the changes for the plan options. So for 2022, you will continue to have the 3 plan options for those of you who are Medicare primary. And the 3 plan options will be the Humana Group Medicare Advantage PPO base plan. And we do consider the base plan as well as the enhanced plan with Humana as a 90-10, and that means that it has a benefit value that's equivalent to a 90-10 plan. And we'll speak a little bit more about that in the next couple of slides. But the second plan option, as I mentioned, will be the Humana Group Medicare Advantage PPO Enhanced Plan. And then the third option will be the 70/30 PPO plan that is administered by Blue Cross and Blue Shield of North Carolina. Now, in regards to the 2022 benefit year, there are very few changes to the plan options. There are no major changes to the benefits within either of the Humana Group Medicare Advantage plans. The co-payments and the co-insurance are going to remain the same as they are today. Now, with the formulary, or the list of medications that are covered, as with any plan, from year to year, there's an evaluation conducted, and there are changes to the formulary. So we are expecting there to be some changes to the Humana formulary for 2022, and we do encourage you to review the changes to ensure that your medications continue to be covered and what co-payment it will be covered for 2022. On the 80/20 plan, for those of you who may not yet be Medicare eligible, and the 70/30 PPO plan option, there are no changes to the benefits relative to these plans. The co-payments and co-insurance and deductible amounts will remain the same. Again, the formulary may change. And with these plans, the formulary does change on a quarterly basis. So it's very important to keep tabs on that for 2022. We will continue to offer a reduced co-payment for those of you who are seeking services from a clear pricing project provider. You'll have reduced co-pays for a primary care provider as well as for a clear pricing project specialist. Now we're going to take a look at some Medicare Advantage reminders. And did you know that more than 80% of our membership, that is Medicare primary, are actually enrolled in our Humana Group Medicare Advantage plan options? Of those that are here today, how many of you are enrolled in one of the Humana plan options? Okay, a good number of you, great. Well, you're in that 80% bracket. And if you are not currently enrolled in these plan options, we are going to be hosting webinars during the month of October. And we do encourage you to participate with one of these webinars to learn more about the Humana Group Medicare Advantage plan options. As I mentioned, they do have a benefit equivalent, a benefit value equivalent to being a 90-10 plan. So this could mean some significant savings for you. Now, when we say that it is a 90-10 benefit equivalent value, we mean that your overall cost and what you pay out of pocket would typically be no greater than what it would be if these were actually a 90-10 plan. Now, these plans are structured with co-payments primarily. There is some co-insurance, and those will stay in place for 2022. So with the Humana Group Medicare Advantage plan options, remember, these are group plans. They are not individual plan options. So there is a lot of flexibility with these group plans. And these are different than those that you see advertised on TV. Joe Namath, Joan London, J.J. Walker, they all have these promotions going on, promoting Medicare Advantage plan options. The plan options under the state health plans umbrella are generally better than those plan options because of the flexibility, and the formulary is a larger formulary. There's the ability to go in and out of network. So there's a number of things that you receive under these plans that are not available under the individual plans. Now, to be on the Humana plan options, you do have to have that Medicare Part A and Medicare Part B in place. And also, for 2022, we will continue to offer the Humana Group Medicare Advantage base plan to our qualified retirees based on their years of service with a $0 premium. And you can continue to cover a Medicare eligible spouse or a Medicare eligible dependent for $4 a month on that base plan. Now, as I mentioned, you do have to have that Medicare Part A and Medicare Part B in place. So you do have to continue to pay that Part B premium, which is generally out of your Social Security benefits, or you will receive a bill from the federal government. Now, Humana continues to pay those claims for Medicare on Medicare's behalf. And even though you're no longer considered to be in original Medicare, because Humana is taking that responsibility from the federal government, you are still considered to be in the Medicare program. This means that you're not losing your Medicare benefits, and you retain the same rights and protections as someone who is in original Medicare. With the Humana Group Medicare Advantage plans, you do have the simplicity and the predictability of your health coverage. And what we mean by simplicity is the fact that you have one ID card that you will use for your medical services as well as your prescription services. And the fact that these are co-payment driven plans. This means as you go into your physician's office, generally you're going to know up front what amount you're going to have to pay. It kind of removes that guesswork as to what your out-of-pocket is going to be. And in regards to the fact that you can go in or out of network, this means it's a passive or an open network. So you can seek services from providers who are in network as well as out of network. Now, if you do go out of network though, you will want to make sure that the provider accepts Medicare, participates with the Medicare program, and will accept your insurance. And it's always great if they'll file the claim on your behalf. Now, with the Humana plan options, typically you do not have to have additional insurance, but we are fully aware some of our members do have other insurance in place. One important thing to remember is that you cannot be in multiple Medicare health plans at the same time. So this means you cannot be enrolled in the Humana Group Medicare Advantage plan and then enroll in another Medicare Advantage plan or a Medicare health plan. That means if you are in the Humana plan and you call that toll-free number from the television or in that mailer you received, and you sign up for that plan, it's going to bump you out of the Humana plan. If that occurs, you're not being removed from the state health plan. You're only being removed from that option, but you will be moved over to the 70/30 plan. Can be a very costly mistake, especially if you're covering a spouse who is paying $4 a month in premium, and now they made that phone call and moved themselves off of the Humana plan. They're now on the 70/30 plan. Their premium will increase to $425 a month. Very, very important. So be very cautious when you're speaking with other individuals about coverage changes. So at this point, I'm going to turn the mic over to Michelle, and she'll take a deeper dive into the Humana plan options.
Thanks, Roberta. Good morning, everyone. So as Roberta mentioned, my name's Michelle Tallman. I'm here with Humana, very pleased to be in person now, once again. And here today to talk to you about the state health plan, Humana Group Medicare Advantage PPO 9010 plans. I'll just say for the association here, we know that they conducted a survey actually recently, as recently as last month, and we were pleased to see that 89% of the respondents were either satisfied or very satisfied with the Humana plan. So that's something that we strive for all the time, actually, for our members. So let's talk a little bit about Humana. Humana's been around for a long time, and we've been working with Medicare plans for a long time as well. And we have over 8.5 million Medicare members with our plans. And I wanted to talk a little bit about our provider network. So nationally, because remember this is a national plan, we have a very robust network with 810,000 providers and 3,400 hospitals nationwide. And then here in North Carolina, we have a great network as well, 7,000 primary care physicians, 11,000 specialists, and 99 hospitals. We actually have a group Medicare presence in every state in the country. Also wanted to talk to you about the star ratings. This is something that the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services, or CMS, rates Medicare Advantage plans across several categories and assigns star ratings from 1 to 5, with 5 being the highest. And we have achieved a 4-star rating. What's his name? Rusty. Oh. But it was we have a 4-star rating on our PPO plans, so we're very proud of that and wanted to make sure you were aware. Let's see. Okay, so this is the next slide, and it looks like the image on here is a little blurry, but what you're looking at is the ID card. If you're on the Humana plan, this is what your ID card looks like. Again, national plan, and this is a passive plan, as Roberta mentioned, and you have the ability to see in and out of network providers and have the same level of benefits. And seeing an out of network provider, as long as they participate in Medicare and agree to bill Humana, you'll have that same level of benefits. And that's unique to this plan. Also, preventive services are covered 100% on this plan. Preventive services are things like an annual flu shot or annual mammogram, as examples. Also, there are out-of-pocket maximum amounts on the plan for both medical and prescription drugs. So there's a maximum amount that you would pay out of your pocket for services throughout the plan year. And also worldwide emergency coverage. So this offers emergency services if you're traveling outside the country. Medicare does not cover for services outside the country. However, this plan does. And typically, if you would need to seek services while you're outside the country, you'll probably have to pay up front, but you can bring those bills, the claims back with you to submit to Humana for reimbursement according to the plan benefits. And you can always call Humana's customer service to receive guidance on how to submit and work you through that process. So providers again, you can see any in-network and out-of-network provider as long as the out-of-network provider participates in Medicare and agrees to bill Humana. And the image up here is a flyer that we have. We actually have these out at our table, and you can come by and pick one up. It explains how this Medicare Advantage plan works. If a provider happens to be still resistant to filing a claim, you can pay for the service and then file a claim form to get reimbursed. So wanted to talk a little bit about the extra benefits that come with this plan. These are benefits that Medicare does not cover, but the Humana plan does. So I want to take some time to go through these. First listed is routine vision services. You can get one routine vision exam, which includes refraction once per year. And on the base plan, it's a $40 copay. On the enhanced plan, it's a $35 copay. Then we have routine podiatry services. This is foot care services. And on the base plan, it's covered with a $40 copay. Enhanced plan is $35 with a maximum of 6 visits per year. We also offer some routine hearing services that give you one hearing exam, one per year, at no cost to you. And there's also a fitting and evaluation at no cost to you for a hearing aid once per year. And then we also have a $500 benefit allowance that you can use towards hearing aids for 2 every 3 years. There are routine chiropractic services covered with a $20 copay. There's coverage for private duty nursing, which is 20% of the cost. There's a $5,000 maximum benefit on that. And then COVID-19 services, very important. The testing is covered 100%, and that includes the antibody testing, and any treatment for diagnosis of COVID-19 is covered 100%. And of course, the vaccine is covered 100% as well. A few other benefits here. These first 2 are new for 2022. We have the post-discharge transportation benefits. So this offers transportation after an inpatient hospital stay or a skilled nursing facility stay to a plan-approved location for up to 12 one-way trips. And the other one listed here is post-discharge in-home personal care. So at no cost to you, you can get some in-home support services. Those are things like what's commonly known as activities of daily living, so assistance with eating, dressing, bathing, etc. So that's another new benefit available after an inpatient hospital stay or a skilled nursing facility stay. And then acupuncture is also something that's covered on the plan. On the base plan, it's a $40 copay. On the enhanced plan, it's a $35 copay. And there's a maximum visit limit of 20 per year. So I wanted to talk just a little bit about a few plan reminders on the medical plan. First up is durable medical equipment, or DME. These are things like oxygen, walkers, continuous glucose monitors. And we have some preferred providers with whom we work for these items, and those are listed up here. We have CCS Medical, Edwards Healthcare, and Edge Park. And some DME items do require prior authorization, which is something that the actual DME provider works with Humana to put in place. The typical turnaround time for that can be anywhere from 72 hours for urgent needs, or up to 14 days if more information is needed. Physical, occupational, and speech therapy, we work with Cohere to assist with those authorizations, and your physician would initiate that process with Cohere to give the necessary information. And the majority of those authorizations are auto-approved. 95% are auto-approved, but there could be instances where more information might be needed from the provider. So time frame typically for that, up to 72 hours, and then also if more information would be needed, up to 14 days for that. MRI advanced imaging, we work with Health Help, and similar to Cohere, the physician would be working to provide the necessary information for that. Time frame, again, up to 72 hours for an urgent request, or up to 14 days if more additional information is needed. And then finally up here, just wanted to talk about the claim form submission. Sometimes you might have a need to request submit for reimbursement, so we wanted to make sure you knew where to go for the claim form. It's out on our website that we have created just for the state health plan members, and that website's up here on this slide. It's our.humana.com/NCSHP. And you can go download that claim form. It's best to submit that form with the itemized billing statement for reimbursement. And you can, of course, always call our dedicated customer service line that we have just for state health plan retirees. And that number is 1-888-700-2263. And they can, you can request a claim form from them, and they can walk you through that process. So let's talk a little bit about prescription drug coverage, or Part D coverage, as it's also known. We have a very wide network, over 66,000 national and regional chain pharmacies in our network. So those are pharmacies like Walgreens, Walmart, Target, Ingles, etc. We also have a number of independent pharmacies in our network as well. And you also have the ability to get medications sent to you via a mail order, up to a 90-day supply to your home, which a lot of people like to do that for convenience. And then also, if you need specialty medications, we do offer those through Humana Specialty Pharmacy. The pharmacy plan does include coverage for generic, brand, and specialty medications. And Part D vaccines are covered 100%. So an example of a Part D vaccine would be Shingrix for shingles. And it does exclude foreign travel vaccines. Diabetic supplies and administration supplies are covered 100% on the plan. And this plan also includes coverage for extra medications that Medicare does not cover, and those fall within the cough and cold category, weight loss, fertility, and vitamins and minerals. And you can find information about those medications in the Humana drug list, which we actually have some of those at our table today. And if you picked up one of the 2022 enrollment or informational kits, we have the formulary in there as well. Also, transition fill process. This applies to new members, so if somebody's newly enrolled in the plan, they're able to get a medication for a 30-day supply within the first 90 days of enrollment. And this process really applies to those medications that might require prior authorization. But it gives you a chance to get the medication and then work with your doctor, and your doctor would work with Humana to get that authorization in place. And then finally, drug list change letters. This is something that we will send all members in December. For those of you who might be taking medications that in 2022 there might be if there's a tier change for that medication, or if there are new authorization requirements for a medication that you're taking, we will send you this letter letting you know what that is, and then you can share that with your provider if necessary. Diabetic testing and monitoring supplies up here on the left-hand side are the preferred brands that we use for meters and test strips and lancets. And supplies. Those are all considered supplies. So we have HP TrueMetrix Air by Travidia. We have Roche AccuCheck Guide Me and Roche AccuCheck Guide. So using these preferred brands, you can get these meters, test strips, and lancets covered 100%. And Humana's preferred insulin is Novolog and Novolin, and those are available at a tier 2 copay. Humalog, Humulin, and Apidra are available, but they're at a higher tier. Also, it's important to point out that there's a zero copay for Medicare-covered therapeutic continuous glucose monitors, or CGMs, and their supplies. The preferred DME vendor for CGMs is CCS Medical and Edwards Healthcare. And continuous glucose monitors, some examples of those would be Dexcom G6, and Freestyle Libre, yeah. Sorry, it trips me up. So a few plan reminders on pharmacy here. What we have on the chart is the list of the 4 tiers and the copays. For the base plan is the first column, enhanced plan is the right-hand column. And wanted to talk about a few terms in the pharmacy area. So the $2,500 maximum out-of-pocket, you heard me mention out-of-pocket maximum earlier. So on the pharmacy plan, you have a $25 maximum that you would pay during the course of a plan year. So these copays and coinsurance amounts that you pay throughout the year go towards satisfying that $2,500 maximum out of pocket. So once you satisfy that or reach that $2,500, then you pay zero the rest of the plan year. Prior authorization, certain medications may require prior authorization, and that just requires pre-approval from Humana before you can get the medication. And that is something that your physician works with Humana to put in place. Also, step therapy. This is something where you may need to take one medication for a condition before trying another. Insulin coverage, I've already mentioned that. Again, Novolog and Novolin are on tier 2. And Medicare exclusions. So Medicare, we as a Medicare Advantage plan, we cover everything that Medicare covers, but there are some medications that Medicare does not cover, and they're considered Medicare exclusions. One example is something called off-label use. Medicare only approves or covers FDA-approved medications for use for certain conditions. And sometimes providers may prescribe another medication for a condition that it's not been FDA approved for. So that's considered off-label use. So in that example, that medication likely won't be covered because Medicare doesn't cover it. In-home health and well-being assessment. This is a service we offer all our members. This gives you an opportunity to have a clinician come to your home and conduct a 45 to 60-minute health assessment. Now, please know this is purely optional. You are under no obligation to participate, and you will not be negatively impacted for not participating. And just want to make sure you're aware of this. And when they come to your home, it'll either be a doctor or a nurse practitioner. They'll conduct a health assessment. They'll go over your health history, take your blood pressure, survey things in your home. And once you've completed the visit, you will receive a reward in the mail. And you'll get more information about this program in the new plan year after January 1st. Silver sneakers. How many folks are familiar with silver sneakers here? Okay, so we have quite a few. Our most popular program gives you a free gym membership to thousands of locations of Silver Sneakers locations nationwide. And we have the websites up here for silversneakers.com. There's an 800 number. We actually have an informational flyer at our table that talks all about Silver Sneakers. And many of the locations have reopened, but some have not. But they have a lot of on-demand classes, live classes on their website that you can access as a member. So if you have interest in that, I would encourage you to check it out. And they also have an app, the Silver Sneakers Go app, that you can download, and there's a wide variety of information out there too. And Go 365 is our wellness rewards program. We're going to reward you for doing healthy things like taking that Silver Sneakers class, getting your annual flu shot as examples. We also have a flyer about this program out at our table. And you can earn rewards by doing these types of things and be able to redeem them for gift cards in the Go 365 Mall to a variety of retailers. So if you're not familiar with it, I'd encourage you to come to our table and ask us about it, or we can hand you one of these flyers that we have. Humana Welldine, this is a benefit that we offer all members after an inpatient hospital stay or skilled nursing facility stay. You'll be eligible for free meals to be delivered, up to 28 meals to be delivered to your home free of charge. And that's something that would be arranged after your discharge. And you can see there's a variety of meal plans that are offered that you can select from. So what else does Humana offer? We offer a variety of discount programs for hearing aids, vision services, dental services. We also offer discounts on Lifeline medical alert systems. There's also a meal delivery discount through Mom's Meals available, and an online advanced care planning tool, My Directives, is something else we offer our members. We also have a website. I mentioned we have a custom website just for state health plan retirees. It's listed down here at the bottom. It's our.humana.com/NCSHP. And this gives you, if you want to go to that website, there's plan materials out there and a lot of information about all the extra programs and services that come with the plan. And you can sign up for My Humana if you haven't already, and you can access your claims and coverage details, as well as a wide variety of other health and wellness information. And Humana in your neighborhood, these are physical locations that Humana has, and we currently have 4 in North Carolina: Asheville, Greensboro, Charlotte, and Raleigh, and we have a 5th one that's opening up in Winston-Salem in early 2022. Now, these locations right now have limited services happening at this time, but we do have a virtual neighborhood center, and that website's up here. It's humananeighborhoodcenter.com, and that's available for everyone to access. And they have different classes and events happening each month. We have a calendar out at our table that'll tell you what's happening this month. And I would encourage you to check it out because it's free and it's something that's available to you. Bringing Humana to You events. These are events that we actually held for state health plan members earlier this spring. Some of you may remember, some of you may have participated, but these were all online webinars. And the subjects were a wide range of activities, anywhere from trying to get involved with virtual volunteering, crafting, and educational workshops that we held, as well as resource spotlights. We wanted to highlight some of the programs that are part of the plan, such as Silver Sneakers and Go 365. And we will be hosting these again in 2022. So hopefully we will have the opportunity to do some in person next spring, which would be great. Otherwise, and we'll also do some online as well. So we will be inviting all state health plan members to participate in those. So what to expect after enrollment? Everybody's going to receive a confirmation letter that you'll get in December prior to January 1st. Regarding ID cards, so anybody new to the plan as of January 1st would get a new ID card in December prior to January 1st. But current members, you'll just continue to use the card that you have today. So we will not be sending new ID cards to current Humana members. Medicare Health Survey, this is something that you'll receive in the mail. This is something that Medicare requires us to send all members. You are not obligated to participate in this survey, but we are required to send it to you. So just wanted you to be aware of that. And then the evidence of coverage, or EOC as it's known. It's a really thick book that has all detailed benefits outlined. New members will receive the book within the first 30 days of enrollment. And current members, you'll receive your annual notice of change, or ANOC, that will include guidance on how you can obtain a copy of the EOC. And then finally here, I wanted to talk about our dedicated customer care team that we have, again, just for state health plan retirees. The number is 1-888-700-2263. And this number is on the back of your ID card, and on the materials that we send you, we try to include that number where we can. Another place for information, of course, is that custom website, our.humana.com/NCSHP. And if you haven't been by our table, please come by. We do have 2022 informational kits that include the summary of benefits and the 2022 drug list. So feel free to come by and pick that up, and we'd love to see you. We have a wide variety of giveaways too. So with that, I'm going to hand it back to Roberta. So thank you for your time.
Okay, so we're going to take a look at the 70/30 PPO plan, and this is an option that continues to be offered, and it's administered by Blue Cross and Blue Shield of North Carolina. First, we're going to speak about the Clear Pricing Project, or CPP, plan, and this is for the 70/30 PPO plan, and for those of you who may not yet be Medicare eligible and are on the 80/20 plan, this would also apply to the 80/20 plan. But the Clear Pricing Project continues to be a path for ensuring members continue to have this benefit for years to come, and it brings transparency to the healthcare cost and addresses the rising health cost nationwide, really. And there's more than 28,000 CPP providers that have contracted with the state health plan, and the state health plan combines that network, the CPP network, with Blue Cross Blue Shield's Blue Option Network for the state health plan network under the 70/30 and the 80/20 plan. Now, the plan, as I mentioned earlier, is going to continue to offer the reduced co-pays for those of you who seek services from a CPP provider, for a primary care provider, and for a CPP specialist. Now, I do want to make mention that this only applies to providers in North Carolina. It does not apply to providers outside of North Carolina. Also, it only applies to the 70/30 and the 80/20 plan. It does not apply to the Medicare Advantage plans under Humana. Now, with the 70/30 plan, if you elect to go with this option, you would really retain original Medicare as your primary coverage. And then the 70/30 would act as a secondary coverage for you. Now, it is not a supplement. It is not going to pick up and pay 100% of what Medicare has left as your responsibility. There will be some out-of-pocket costs still in place for you, as you will have to meet the deductibles, the co-payment requirements, and the co-insurance requirements under the 70/30 PPO plan. Now, there is an annual combined medical and pharmacy deductible, and for an individual, it is $1,500, and that's for in-network. And it must be met for some medical services and some medications. And most of those medications are on Tier 3 and Tier 6, and for the medical services, it's usually a facility-based type of service. Now, once that deductible is met, then the member is going to be responsible for 30% co-insurance, up until the maximum out-of-pocket limit of $5,900 has been met. Now, once that $5,900 is met as your out-of-pocket maximum, then the plan would cover 100% of medical services that are covered, as well as prescriptions. Now, we do want to make note that for 2022, all 70/30 members and 80/20 members will receive a new ID card. It will be very important to start using this new ID card as of January 1st, 2022. We'll talk about this more in just a few minutes. Now this chart shows you the what gets applied to the deductible as well as what gets applied to the out-of-pocket maximum under the 70/30 PPO plan. As you can see, all medical copays for like office visits, going to the hospital, emergency room, those get applied to your out-of-pocket maximum of $5,900, but it does not get applied to the deductible. The deductible is made up of the facility-based services, Tiers 3 and Tier 6 medications, as well as non-preferred diabetic testing supplies. And then your pharmacy co-pays for Tiers 1, 2, 4, and 5 actually get applied to the out-of-pocket maximum, along with the preferred diabetic testing supplies. Now here's the new ID card for 2022 for the 70/30 and the 80/20 plans. This card, as I mentioned, it's going to be very important to start using it as of January 1st. If you're on the 70/30 or 80/20 plan, it contains new information. You're going to have a new subscriber ID number, a new group number, and then there's going to also be some additional benefit information placed on this card. Now, Blue Cross and Blue Shield is moving to a new claims processing system, so this is why these new ID cards are being mailed out. They will be mailed during the month of December. You should have them in your hands before January 1st. Now, very quickly, relative to open enrollment, our open enrollment period will begin October 11th and run through October the 29th. Now, this is your opportunity to make changes to your state health plan coverage. You can flip between the plan options, you can opt in or opt out of the state health plan, and you can add or remove dependents. Now, if you should decide to opt out of the state health plan, we do encourage you to sign up for our member-focused electronic newsletter. And this is due to the fact that when you opt out of the state health plan, you will no longer receive mailings from the state health plan. So for 2022 plan year, you will remain in the plan in which you are currently enrolled if you are a Medicare eligible individual. If you're on the Humana plan options or the 70/30, they're going to roll over for 2022. You will only need to take action if you want to make a change. Now, if you are on the 80/20 plan because you're a non-Medicare individual or you have dependents who are on the 80/20 plan, they will be moved over to the 70/30 plan for open enrollment. So you will need to take action to re-elect the 80/20 plan for them for the 2022 benefit year. Briefly, this is the premium rates for 2022. There is no changes to the premium rates for 2022 benefit year. The Humana Group Medicare Advantage base plan and the 70/30 plan both will remain with a zero premium cost for the Medicare eligible qualified retiree based on your years of service. The Humana Enhanced plan will continue to have a $73 a month premium for 2022. How to make changes for 2022? Remember, if you are on a plan, the 70/30 or the Humana plan options, they will roll over. But if you do want to make a change, you can do it one of two ways, either online through Orbit or by telephone by contacting our Eligibility and Enrollment Support Center. Now, all of this information will be included in your decision guide, which you will receive during probably that first week of October. That's when they're scheduled to be mailed out. And we currently have 24 webinars scheduled for the month of October. And Humana, as well as the State Health Plan, will be hosting these webinars. We do encourage you to sign up and participate with one of these webinars. We will be speaking in more detail about the plan options for 2022. We do have a list on our table with all of the webinars and registration information. And addresses are very important to maintain with the state health plan, as well as Social Security and the state retirement system. If you currently are thinking about enrolling into one of the Humana Group Medicare Advantage plan options, and you only have a P.O. Box address on record with us, we will need to be provided with a physical address. They are required by federal guidelines to enroll with a physical address. We can retain the P.O. Box as your mailing address and use the physical for enrollment purposes only. And this is a list of important numbers, and these will also be included in your decision guide, and we also have them at our table on the back of our frequently asked question document. So at this point, I'd like to turn the mic over to Richard.
Just a second, before we do
Okay.
that, we do have a couple of questions, okay?
Okay, we can,
Trust me on this.
okay.
We do have a couple of questions. Some of them are coming from online, and I'm not sure which one of you would be the one to answer this, but when should someone, and this comes from Marion Anthony Jordan, when should someone who will turn 65 next year switch over to the Humana insurance?
Okay, this is relative to becoming Medicare eligible during a plan year due to becoming 65. You will automatically be moved over to the Humana plan by the state health plan, but it will be very important for you to make sure you have your Medicare Part A and Medicare Part B in place in order for that transition to go smoothly.
Okay. Now, on the floor, do we have, we only got time for a couple of questions, but if anybody's got a question, if you'll just put your hand up, and I will come to you. I seeing no hands.
No hands.
Oh, way back there in the, of course, you'd be on the other side of the room. I know, right?
I would like to mention relative to turning 65 during the plan year, if you are a retiree, we do hold webinars for pre-65 members, and we would encourage you to participate with those. And we generally start those in January, so please go to our website and we'll have those listed, usually by the end of December.
I'm sure you told us, I just must have missed it.
That's okay.
But if I'm in the Advantage Humana plan, I don't want to make any change. Do I need to do anything in open enrollment?
You do not have to do anything this year in open enrollment. If you're currently in a Humana Medicare Advantage base plan or enhanced plan, it will roll over for 2022, as well as if you're on the 70/30 plan, it will also roll over for 2022. But we do encourage everyone to take time and look at your decision guide and review the information about the Humana plan options and see how they will fit with your medical needs.
Okay, I think that's about all the time we got
Okay,
for.
great.
So now we can reintroduce.
Okay, so I'm turning the mic over now to Richard.
Roberta, thank you so much. Let's give Michelle and Roberta a little round of applause for their presentation, and that we appreciate so much. Today, we're honored to have the Treasurer of North Carolina join us. Treasurer Falwell was sworn into the state as Treasurer in January 2017. Treasurer Falwell is responsible for about 121, I don't know, it keeps going up, Treasurer, so I got 121, it's probably a little bit more than that, but $121 billion in pension revenues and funds for local and state retirees and the 7 state pension plans that he oversees. Nearly 100,000 or 1 million folks are part of this plan, either as active employees or retirees. Under Falwell's leadership, the pension plan is ranked among the top 5 highest funded in the country, and I will say also well managed in the country as well, and has won accolades for its management and funding discipline. In 2018, the state's coveted AAA bond rating was reaffirmed by every major rating agency, in making North Carolina one of the 13 states in the country to hold that distinction. Treasurer Falwell oversees the state health plan as well, more than 720,000 current retirees, public employees, and the state health plan is the largest purchaser of health care in North Carolina. Treasurer Falwell was first elected to public office as a member of the Winston-Salem Forsyth County Board of Education, and he won election in 2004 to become a member of the General Assembly, serving 4 terms. In one of those terms, he was Speaker pro tem of the House. Treasurer Falwell began his career as a blue-collar worker and became a certified public accountant and investment advisor after earning bachelor's and master's degree at UNC Greensboro. Married for 30 years, his wife Cynthia and he have 3 children, and they live in Winston-Salem. Please welcome the Treasurer of North Carolina, Dale Falwell. You mind holding it? Does that work? Let me see if I can take it. Hold it 1 second.
Good morning. How are you? Some of you are as old as I am, and you're used to a Falwell standing between you and lunch. So my name's spelled F-O-L, but I promise not to stand between you and lunch. Some of you might be familiar with former Congressman Howard Coble from the Greensboro area. And you may not know this, but Congressman Coble was the only member of Congress who refused his Social Security check while he was a member of Congress because he didn't think the government should pay him twice. That's a definition of a true public servant. Howard used to go home to Burlington. How are you? Used to go home to Burlington on Sundays, and his mom would make this big spread of food. And Howard would thank his mom, Mrs. Coble, and Mrs. Coble would say, well, Howard, it just didn't jump up on the table by itself. And whether it's this AV equipment or this room or your lunch today, especially in a COVID world, nothing jumps up on the table by itself. So there's a lot of people behind the scenes who made this happen, and I want to thank Richard and the organization for having me. If math makes you nauseous, you probably should leave now so that you don't spoil your lunch. I may get emotional about some things. There are things happening in our lives right now that are worth getting emotional about. I'll not be getting political. Contrary to what's going on in the rest of the world, there's no Democrat, Republican, or independent money at the Treasurer's office. There's no black and white money at the Treasurer's office, and there's no male and female money at the Treasurer's office. It's all green. And the blood that runs through me is from the Quaker religion. And if you know anything about the Quaker religion, you know that one of the spices of being a Quaker is to be fair and just. We are fair and just as the keeper of your public purse. We do not pick and choose which laws to apply, and we don't pick and choose who to apply them to. And I think that's exactly what you want when somebody's managing 2 of the most important things in your life, which are your pension and your health care. Very briefly, I want to also thank this group for the prayers that were sent forward to me in March of 2020. In March of 2020, I was one of the only people anyone had heard of who had COVID, who was asymptomatic, and who was in intensive care for several days fighting for my life. And my point of saying that to you is that this is where I'll get a little bit emotional. I just can't imagine, as someone who's actually had a very small percent chance of living during March of 2020, that how divided our country has gotten over masks and vaccines. It's stunning to me. This disease also doesn't care what color you are, what gender you are, what political party you are. It's deadly. And I've seen it in living color from an ICU hospital bedroom. So my point is that I appreciate you all coming out today and all being vigilant about what needs to happen. As long as this disease is around, it's going to create death, it's going to create poverty, and it's going to create illiteracy. And as the keeper of your public purse and the state treasurer, I'm not in favor of any of those three things. So I appreciate your support during that period of time. So let's talk about math. I wouldn't trade places with any other state treasurer in the United States. Now the reason is that there are some things that were done during the semester. So when this pop quiz that we call COVID came up, we were prepared. Now I wish somebody would have told me when I was younger, if you do what you're supposed to do during the semester, the pop quizzes don't matter so much. I didn't learn that at a young age. But I can tell you over the last 10 years in North Carolina, thanks to Representative Blackwell and others, the state has balanced its budget. The state has built surpluses. The state has built rainy day funds. And unlike in 2013, when I took over the unemployment agency in North Carolina, I inherited a $2.6 billion unemployment debt. And on Valentine's Day of 2020 last year, not only had that debt been paid off years before, but there was $4 billion sitting in the bank, which was, as you know, desperately needed as we had nearly 1 million people unemployed in North Carolina. So the financial state of the state is in good shape. The pension plan, I talked about Quakers, now I'm going to talk about Methodists. You know, every year the Methodists pick a word that they focus on, and the word a few years ago was context. And so when I talk about the pension plan, it crossed $124 billion last week. That is the highest level in the history of the state of North Carolina. It is $35 billion above what it was trading at when I was chosen to be the keeper of your public purse. But it's not just $35 billion ahead. We've paid out $30 billion in gross benefits during that period of time. So it's not just something that was worth this amount of money, and now it's worth this amount of money. You've got to add into it the amount of money that was paid out over the last 5 years. So $124 billion. We just got ranked by CEM benchmarking. Another mistake I made while I was in school. I incorrectly thought that being in the 0 percentile was a good thing. It's not a good thing, except when you're being scored for the efficiency of the North Carolina pension plan. When CEM benchmarking scored your pension plan, we ended up, compared to other pension plans in the world, in the 0 percentile in terms of the efficiency of running the plan. The reason that should matter to you is that any dollar that's inefficiently spent running the plan is a dollar that can never be used to pay out benefits. That's how all that comes together. So $124 billion is the 27th largest pool of public money in the world. The budget is being debated as we sit here in the General Assembly, in the conference committees. The North Carolina pension system that you're a participant in is 5 times larger than the state budget. And the pension plan is only half of what we do at the Treasurer's Office. We manage about $250 billion. So that's the health plan, pharmaceutical, and we're also the state banker. And that is 10 times larger than the state budget. So my point of saying that to you is that when we're good keepers of your public purse, the executive branch wins, the legislature wins, and the taxpayers win. So we're very proud to be able to report that news to you about your pension plan. The pension plan has some headwinds. Last month, we crossed for the first time, we paid out $550 million in benefits last month for 1 month. If you multiply that times 12, that's over $7.5 billion a year in gross benefits. So when you say $124 million, that sounds like an enormous amount of money, but we're paying out $7.5 billion in gross benefits a year, and that's going to $10 billion a year in a very short number of years. The other headwinds that we have, there are 3 of them, and they're all blessings. So I want to say that up front. The first headwind is low interest rates. You know, when you're the state treasurer of North Carolina and government bonds are yielding 10%, it's pretty easy to be the state treasurer. You just put your pension money in government bonds. But as you know, government bonds aren't at 10%, interest rates are at 0. And that's a real headwind to a pension plan when we have $46 billion sitting in things that earn interest. The second headwind, another blessing, is that people are retiring earlier than ever before. As a matter of fact, for the females in the room, if you were 18 or 21 years old today and you came to work for the state in any capacity, based on your life expectancy, you are actually going to receive more retirement checks than paychecks. First time in the history of North Carolina. Now, the last is the life expectancies, which I sort of just touched on. When I was in high school in the late 70s, I barely got out of high school, but when I was there, this pension plan was paying out benefits to 300 individuals over the age of 90. Last month it was 7,000 retirees over the age of 90. Increased life expectancies, blessing. Being able to retire early, a blessing. 0 interest rates when people want to buy houses and invest in businesses, those are all blessings. But those are tremendous headwinds to this pension plan that you're a participant in. So if you want to know why I talk the way I do and why I act the way I do and why I say the things I do, is because this is serious business. Can you imagine some of these other pension plans like South Carolina being 64% funded, Alabama 67% funded. One of the Kentucky retirement systems is only 20% funded. Just step back and have a little gratitude about the fact that you are a participant in one of the strongest pension systems in the United States, if not the world. I'm reporting that to you and standing on the shoulders of a lot of hardworking people at the Investment Management Division, the General Assembly, who continues to appropriate and fully fund the pension plan, and previous treasurers who have really never pretended to have a crystal ball or gamble with your hard-earned assets. Very briefly, I'm going to talk about health care. Now, health care in North Carolina is becoming cartelized. Now, I used to stutter, and so something being called a cartel is a pretty strong word. But I was advised, as I have often struggled to find just the right word to say, that if I just look in the Webster's Dictionary or the Bible, it'll probably put me on the right course. A cartel is an association which is formed to restrict competition or raise prices. Health care in North Carolina is being consolidated in the hands and arms of fewer and fewer multi-billion-dollar nonprofit organizations. And all the research throughout the world show that when this occurs, quality goes down, access to health care goes down, and prices go up. I am never going to be a part of quality going down, access going down, and prices going up. I'm sorry I didn't bring the prop I normally bring, but when I attempted to find out what you were paying for health care, UNC Healthcare, for example, sent me 158 pages. Every single word of every page was blacked out, just like this screen. The fact is that this is an industry that has multi-billions of dollars. Atrium Health in Charlotte has $7 billion in the bank today as a nonprofit. They have twice as much money in the bank as the state has long-term debt. So this isn't really about the people who actually do the health care in this state. This is about the multi-million-dollar paid executives and these multi-billion-dollar corporations that call themselves nonprofit. So what can we do about that? I've had to split my responsibilities as the state treasurer into 3 groups. The 65-year-olds and above, which I'll be there very quickly, the people between 50 and 65, where I currently am, and the younger, healthier people who still need family coverage. We just negotiated, as you may have heard, a fantastic contract with Humana, and that contract resulted in 0 premium to you, $4 a month premium to your dependent, and 0 cost to the state health plan. 0 cost to you, $4 a month to your dependent, and 0 cost to me at the state health plan. That one contract is going to save $1 billion. But this is what I need you to do. There's most of the people, over 80% of the people are on the Humana Medicare Advantage program. I need for all the state retirees who are over 65 to be on that program, because every person that chooses Humana at zero premium to them, $4 to the dependent, and no cost to the state, every single person that does that, I'm able to take the savings of that and actually start to lower family premiums. Within 20 miles of where we're standing right now, we have corrections officers who are taking their lives in danger every day. You think about you think about what a police officer goes through, and then you put a fence around them. That's what a corrections officer's life is like. We have correction officers who have to work 1 week out of every month to pay the family premium. And I hope this matters to you, because you know you were this age once upon a time. And for an individual to have to work 1 week out of every 4 just to pay the family premium on the largest purchaser of health care in North Carolina is unacceptable to me. So we have been successful. We have frozen family premiums now for 5 years. But just because I freeze the price of something doesn't mean I can afford it, and it doesn't mean that I can get sick. It just means I can pay the premium. So my point is, this is a plea from me. Please, if you are not on the Humana Medicare Advantage plan, please consider the advantage it would not only bring to you financially, you from a simplicity standpoint, but what it might do to sustain our health care plan for people that we all used to be the age of. It's all about the family premiums. As I start to close and answer any questions you might have, I just want to thank you for the opportunity to present this information to you. We also have our website, nctreasurer.com. And at nctreasurer.com, you'll find another website called NC Cash. We have $940 million at nccash.com. Now, the reason I mentioned it at the end of my remarks is that all of you would be checking your phones while I'm speaking, and you wouldn't have gotten that important plea for asking you to make sure that you're on the Humana Medicare Advantage next year. nccash.com, for example, we just gave $2,500 to the Panthers. The Panthers gave it to a domestic abuse shelter. The domestic abuse shelter had money at nccash.com, and 3 of the 5 reporters who covered the story had money at nccash.com. Just gave $80,000 to a big truck manufacturer in Greensboro. So my point is that when you go home tonight, check nccash.com, check your name, your maiden name, kids' names, parents' names, your Rotary Club name. There's $1 million that belongs to churches, or your business name. And I guarantee you there's someone at every one of 2 of these tables here who has something at nccash.com. And very quickly, the way the money got there, the simplest way it got there is where somebody tried to mail you a check and it didn't get to you. They're required to send it to us, and it sits there forever. No charge to look up your name, no charge to get what's owed you. My last name's Falwell. My time is up. Thank you for allowing me to speak, to be the keeper of your public purse, and I'll be glad to take a question or two.
Anyone have a question? Raise your hand. Oh, I'm coming to you, ma'am.
I can hear. Go ahead.
And I know that there's quite a bit of investment in bonds over the past several years, and most of our out of those funds portfolios have grown a lot. I know going into the next period of time, you know, more bonds might be advisable, but can you speak to your
I'll repeat the question. Go ahead.
flexibility
Sure.
of working with those funds?
Great question. She wants to know sort of how the money is invested very quickly, and then with so much of it in being in things that earn interest like bonds, what flexibility do we have to alter that as the time comes? I don't know your name. I don't know that we've ever met, but if you look at this chart, this is from between St. Patrick's Day and July 4th of last year. That big dip there among the green line, that's what the average pension plan lost last year. You're that orange line, that little bitty line up at the top. My point is that we're always very conservatively managed and have been for about 50 years. So when the stock market crashes like it did last year between St. Patrick's and July 4th, we don't lose nearly as much money as everybody else does. And of course, when the stock market roars out the top, we don't quite make as much money. But the fact is that not to be a gambler and not to pretend to have a crystal ball. The plan's always been about 40-60, either stocks and bonds or bonds and stocks. And the state treasurer of North Carolina, unlike many across the world, is the sole fiduciary of this plan. So we have all the flexibility. Yes, sir.
I wanted to say, when you said about the NorthCarolinaCash.com, I've been a beneficiary of that. I had a Duke Power or Duke Energy stock that I did not know that some reason didn't get the check, and I found out. But also, my dad died in South Carolina and had a thing with Wachovia, the later Wells Fargo, and I'd been getting dividend checks from him and thought I'd gotten them all. Then I was contacted by a bank that I was not aware of, and it was not $1 million, but it was a sizable amount. My wife started checking through my papers from my dad's estate and had 2 checks from Wells Fargo that had not been cashed. One I had never received, one had not been cashed. Went to Gastonia, and every time I first called the Wachovia, and I was told they need to talk to my dad. And I said, well, I'd love to talk to him too. And the check was sent to Portland, Oregon, from Portland, Oregon to South Dakota. And I kept getting the runaround. And every time I'd talk to somebody, they'd say it'd take 5 days. Right. But now I'm going on vacation. I'm getting a promotion. I won't be here. So long story short, my wife's telling me to hurry up. But I ended up driving out to South Dakota. So if you have any investments with Wells Fargo and you for some reason quit getting checks, call Portland, Oregon, and you may have to go to South Dakota.
Right.
Thank you.
Well, let me just, Sure. I'm a pretty good numbers guy, and I was adding up all the things you just talked about, and I think you and I should go to the Harley-Davidson dealership right next door and let you buy me a new Harley. You said it was less than $1 million. That's what I heard you say. But anyway, what he just said is absolutely accurate. There's no charge to go and no charge to look up your name. And by the way, it looks like everybody's in great shape here, but in the unlikely event you're missing some baby teeth, some silver teeth, some gold teeth, or some false teeth, you may also find those at nccash.com. And the reason is that all abandoned lock boxes, when they can't find out who the owner is, the contents of those lock boxes get sent to the treasurer's office. We have a lot of responsibility. To put a bow on your story, west of here, I presented a check for tens of thousands of dollars to a rural high school whose PTA did not have much money. And the treasurer of that PTA, without anybody knowing it, had put $1,000 in McDonald's stock 27 years ago, and nobody knew it. So it got $34,000 from that high school. And secondly, we just gave $31,000 to a 42-year-old person whose godparent had given her $100 worth of Paramount Studios stock, and they had lost the stock certificate. Paramount Studios got bought by Coca-Cola 30 years ago, and it split 8 for 1. So that became that $100 became $31,000. So listen, glad you had a good experience. And by the way, if you've lived in another state, every state has an equivalent of nccash.com. Thank you very much.
Treasurer Falwell, thank you so much for being here today. We certainly appreciate it. And let's give him a warm round of applause as well. We also have a local legislator here, Representative Blackwell, out of Burke County, represents Burke County, is a longtime supporter of retirees. He is always somebody we can depend on in supporting retirees, supporting the funding of the system, and also cost of living adjustments for North Carolina. He's going to say a few words, and then we'll get on to lunch. Representative Blackwell, welcome.
Thank you. I want you to notice there's sort of an unwritten rule in state government, and Dale Falwell is illustrating it. If you manage about 10 times the amount of the state budget, which is what I get to deal with, but if you manage 10 times, you have to wear a tie to these meetings. Also, before Dale leaves, I would like to say that I suspect most of you already know, but he may be a Quaker, but he's a Quaker bulldog when it comes to protecting retirees, state employees, and state taxpayers by trying to do the right thing and managing the funds, because your pensions and your health care benefits depend on us doing that well, and Dale is our leader. And he could not be more correct, in my opinion, and also describing to you the problem we face in health care with the, as Dale called them, the cartels, which are managing, I think, largely for their own benefits and trying to do it under the cover of claiming to be nonprofits. Sometimes you might want to do a little research on who the highest paid executives in our economy are. And you may not be surprised to find that, and I think I'm correct about this, that it is nonprofit execs who tend to be, by and large, the highest paid people. So anyway, with that having been said, let me just say, Richard, I appreciate your comments. I don't know, how many have we got here from Burke County? Pretty good turnout. State employees and retirees are a big part of what makes Burke County go. And since I've been in the legislature, I've always understood that. And for that reason, I've tried to do exactly what Richard said, and being a voice who is trying to encourage those few people who get to make the decision on employee and retiree benefits to do so in the right manner for our employees. Again, maybe sort of following in Dale's footsteps, largely doing the right thing means sound financial policies and sound financial planning. Some of you, if you're retirees, were around working for the state and may have been furloughed back in 2008, 2009, 2010. We had frozen wages because the state didn't have the money to confront the downturn in the economy. So they had to take it out of state employees' pay, and they had to stop giving out raises and even did some cuts. We worked very hard to be consistent in giving bonuses or supplements, sometimes a COLA, and for the last 7 years, the legislature has approved that. Each year, we've approved an increase that we felt like we could sustain. Unfortunately, for this year and last year, you didn't get that increase because the governor vetoed the budget, and we weren't able to override that veto. So you ended up with only 5 because we were able to override his veto for the previous 2 years, but we didn't the last 2 years. I don't know what we're facing this year, except that the House has proposed a 2% bonus or supplement for each year of the biennium, which, had the 2019-20 raises been approved, I think would have gotten us up to 9 years in a row. And before those 9 years started, we were doing it every other year. We were trying to recover from that great recession. We've done a great job of doing that. North Carolina, as most of you've probably heard, came out of the most recent recession and is coming through this COVID pandemic with an excellent balance sheet because of good management in the Treasurer's office, and we think because of good management by the legislature. So sometimes it can be sexy, if I can say that. It can be sexy to promise people big raises and large numbers, but the ability to sustain it and keep them coming is probably more important to you in the long run. And so that's our goal. that's the track that we're on, and I'm hoping that we'll get a budget this year and those raises will be in there for this year and next year that we didn't get to pass 2 years ago because of the veto. So, having said that, Richard, thank you for this opportunity to speak to folks that gave so much to the state for so many years. I don't know if somebody's got a question for me. I may not know the answer, but I can try to deal with it. Or sometimes, as I tell people, I'll have to get back to you.
Representative Blackwell, thank you so much for being here today. We appreciate you taking the time out. Thank you. All right. We are at probably your favorite part of the agenda, right? We're at lunch, and lunch is out here in the exhibit hall area. One thing I ask, and just is that we don't want to rush the tables. We have had accidents of people rushing the tables before, so please be careful. Don't run. There's plenty of food. And quite frankly, if you just sit at your table a minute, the line usually goes down as well. If you do have masks available, please wear those when we're in the common areas. We would appreciate that very much. So one thing I want to do before we hit lunch is just let's bow our heads and be thankful. Heavenly Father, thank you for this day that you've given us. Thank you for this group of folks who have come out today to participate in this meeting. Please guide them as you did coming. Please guide them going home as well, or their next destination for the day. Now bless this food to the nourishment of our bodies and us to your service. In your name we pray. Amen. Mario's was the caterer for lunch today. I thought they did a really good job. Food was good, and I thoroughly enjoyed mine, and I hope you did too. Yay! There we go. Well, we're back. Also, in your packets, there's a sheet, a green sheet, I believe. It has information that we're requesting. We want you to fill it out. And please answer those questions. Again, they deal with us drumming out and getting with you, becoming a voice in your community and working with you to advance ourselves and retirees in your area. Finally, on the announcement side, there's tickets at your table. We'll be giving out some door prizes. Unfortunately, those that are live streaming into this cannot participate in that, but what you can do is just divvy them up. We'd like for everybody to have the equal number of tickets if you have them at your table. We've had some people just take the whole string and want to keep it for themselves, so please divide them up equitably if you can. Now we're going to continue on with the program. We're going to jump back up the agenda a little bit and have Tom Cheswick with Mark III come and talk to you a little bit about the supplemental offerings we have. So, Tom, come on up.
Yeah. Thanks, Richard. Can everybody hear me okay? Well, good afternoon. I'm Tom Cheswick with Mark III Employee Benefits. We're located in Charlotte. We have been helping the association for the last 20 years or so with a number of different voluntary benefits that are available to you as members of the association. I'm just going to take a little time to talk quickly about the dental plan with the standard, the Superior Vision plan, as well as ID Shield and Legal Shield. All of these products right now are in open enrollment. Open enrollment started yesterday and will run through October 25th, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that as well. As some of you may remember, on January 1st of 2020, the MetLife dental plan moved over to the Standard, a new insurance company. That was due to better pricing, and also we were able to then start offering a high and a low dental option. There had been some requests for a lower option. So now you do have the choice of either a high or a low plan. I'm just going to take a minute to go over them. Your high plan has no deductible, has a $2,000 annual maximum. It's going to cover your preventative services, your exams, your cleanings, and x-rays at 100%, again with no deductible. It's going to cover your basic services, which are your fillings, your root canals, your periodontics, which are all your gum issues, gingivectomies and whatnot, and extractions, whether they're surgical or simple pulling of the tooth, they're all covered at 60%. And then major services, all your big ticket items, your bridges, your crowns, dentures, and implants are included as well. They're all covered at 50%, again with no deductible. There are no waiting periods on this plan or on either of the plans. The low plan does have a $25 deductible. That does not count on preventative services. It has a $1,000 annual maximum, but any of your preventative services do not count towards that annual maximum. So when you get your cleanings and your x-rays and your exams twice a year, they don't count towards the $1,000 maximum, which lets that last a little bit longer throughout the year. Same thing with your preventative services, covered at 100%. The basic services are the same as the high plan, but they're all covered at 50% instead of 60%. And your major services are covered at 50% in the low plan, and they are all the same as the high plan, except there are no implants covered on the low plan. Again, no waiting periods at all. Here are the rates. And the rates for 2022 are the same as they are for 2021, no change in the rates. And one other thing, if you're currently in the plan and you just want to keep on going, you don't need to do anything. You'll roll over into 2022. You'll see there member only, $47.76, member and child or children, and children can be covered to age 26, $74.40. A member and a spouse, $107.48. Member and full family, $133.68. And on the low plan, member only, $36.12. Member and children, $70.56. Member and spouse, $86.56. And member and family, $119.96. Both of these plans are what we call a passive PPO. So you have the freedom to use any dentist you would like to use. If you go out of network, you're going to be reimbursed at the 90th percentile of usual and customary, which is a standard reimbursement for dental plans in the industry. If you use a PPO provider, they have contracted with the standard to accept a negotiated fee. So your best bang for your buck is to use a PPO provider. You can go to standard.com and look for a provider or call them at the toll-free number. Basically, a quick example, if you're going to get a crown for $800 and you go out of network, and that $800 falls within the usual and customary, the plan's going to pay 50% of that. So the plan's going to pay $400, and you're going to end up paying $400 out of pocket. That $400 out of pocket goes towards your $2,000 annual maximum if you're on the high plan. If you use a PPO provider, they've agreed to accept negotiated fees that are anywhere between 15 and sometimes as high as 30 or 35% less. So that $800 crown may cost $600. So 50% of $600, you'll pay $300 out of pocket versus $400. You'll also only have $300 go into your annual maximum, which will allow you, it lets your money last a little bit longer on that annual maximum. So you definitely want to look into using a PPO provider. The Superior Vision Plan is also available at open enrollment. This is a fully comprehensive vision plan. You're going to get an exam every 12 months paid in full after a $20 copay. You're going to get single bifocal, standard single bifocal, trifocal lenses paid in full after a $15 materials copay. Standard progressive lenses are also covered in full after the copay. You can also use the plan for contact lenses, and you'll get a $120 retail allowance towards contacts after your copay every 12 months. The plan will pay for frames every 24 months up to a $130 retail allowance. Factory scratch coating is included in full after the copay. And of course, these benefits I'm discussing are all based on using, again, a Superior Vision provider. Superior has a really broad network in North Carolina and even across the country, so you should have no problem finding a provider. You can go to superiorvision.com, obviously, and look up a provider. The Vision plan is $699 for a member and $1588 for a member and family. And these rates, just like the dental plan, are not changing for 2022. And again, I stress your best bet and the best value for your money is to use a Superior Vision provider. They do provide out-of-network benefits, but you're going to get far less benefit than if you use a network provider. Last couple of things I want to talk about are ID Shield and Legal Shield. So it's pretty hard to listen to the news and not see something about a breach, a data security breach, somebody's lost social security numbers, somebody's hacked into somebody's system. Anyway, ID Shield is a program that protects you from that. They monitor social media as well as the internet for your name, your date of birth, your social security number, and any time any of that stuff is seen being used, you get a notification so that you can verify that it's you. So this obviously is going to catch some of this stuff in advance before it actually happens if you happen to be the victim of identity theft. You've got live support there 24/7, 365 days a year. You can call in for support. The biggest thing that I'd like to stress about ID Shield and what differentiates them from some of these identity theft protections is the fact that they actually will do the legwork for you if you actually have an issue with your identity being stolen. You know, some of the protection you get through credit cards and other services, you know, they do a fine job of telling you there's a problem and telling you your identity has been stolen, but then they basically say, okay, you're on your own, now go fix it. I've spoken to people at a number of the meetings. Actually, I spoke to somebody yesterday. If anybody's been through that, doing that yourself, it takes hours and hours of time, sometimes over months of duration trying to fix that. So ID Shield does that for you with a representative from Kroll licensed private investigators. They also provide a $5 million service guarantee, and that plan is $8.45 a month for an individual and $15.95 for a family. Lastly is Legal Shield. And Legal Shield is essentially a program that's going to give you access to a law firm. A lot of us don't have a lawyer on retainer or on speed dial, but there are times where you need help with legal issues. And of course, you know, hiring a lawyer can be expensive. The Legal Shield plan gives you access to a dedicated law firm. You call in, they'll give you advice, they'll consult with you, they'll review contracts, and everything listed up there, documents, and they're going to help you with a variety of different things, wills, living wills, healthcare power of attorney, and then all those other things that happen sometimes, speeding tickets, IRS issues, divorce, separation, and all of those. So the Legal Shield monthly rate is $15.95 for an individual, and that actually covers you and your entire family. You can either purchase Legal Shield and ID Shield separately, or you can combine them together. So Legal Shield with ID Shield is $24.40, and for an individual and $28.90 for a family. Last thing I want to go over, again, all of these programs are in open enrollment right now. Open enrollment runs through October 25th. Again, if you want to keep your coverage and keep it the same as you currently have, you don't need to do anything. You'll just roll over into 2022. Any changes or new coverage that you elect will be effective January 1st of 2022. So you've got two ways to enroll for Legal Shield and ID Shield. You can complete the paper application and send it into the NCRGEA office, or you can call the Mark III call center. If there's one thing you want to remember and maybe write down, is the call center number, 833-444-5220. There are people at that phone number that are up to speed on all of the things I'm discussing right now that can help you with any questions or help you get enrolled. You've got 4 ways to enroll for dental and vision. You can go online through the self-enrollment portal. You can, again, call the call center, which is open 8 to 5 Eastern Standard Time, Monday to Friday. You can do an online submission form through the NCRGEA website at ncrgea.com, or you can enroll by mail or fax. Everybody here, in one way or another, should have gotten information recently about this. Some people get current enrollee letters. The newsletter obviously is available, and some folks even get the full book. Again, you can call the call center. The other thing I want to mention is about 2 weeks ago, we did a YouTube webinar discussing these products and basically discussing exactly what I'm talking about now. So if you want to refresh your memory later in the future or whenever, you can go to YouTube and see me on YouTube, which is kind of scary. But anyway, I appreciate everybody's time. If anybody has any questions, maybe I'll be outside. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tom. Appreciate your support, Mark III support.
Sorry. I don't even need that. Last thing, everybody got a Superior Vision discount card in their bag. If you're not in the Superior Vision plan, you can still use this card. As a member of the association, this is free. And if you go to a Superior Vision provider, they'll provide you the discounts listed on this card off of their retail cost. So that's also available. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. Thank you much. Next, Pat Hopper with Dream Vacations is going to come up and tell you some about their offerings they have upcoming. We're starting to get out a little bit more, so it's a great opportunity to plan a vacation. Pat?
Is everybody awake after that big lunch? I'm Pat Hopper with Dream Vacations, Brit Travel Group. And I just want to thank Richard and the NCRGEA for allowing us the last few years to partner with them as your travel agent. We are a family-owned business. Karen Britt owns the company. And I'm so fortunate she just adopted me, and I get to go along on some of these trips. Our approach here is that we are always at your service. And whether it's on a motor coach tour or a cruise, we're right there with you and for you all the time. And we cater to the mature travelers, although you don't have to be mature. I'm not yet. So anyhow, family, friends, you know, any organization you're with, churches or whatever, anybody can travel with us. And our goal is that, you know, each tour is a unique experience for you. It's worry-free. We take care of everything. We try to include your meals, everything, so that you're not digging into your pocket after, you know, we head out on the trips. And I think Karen is the best at planning the details of all these trips, the places you go to see, the places, the hotels, the restaurants, every detail. And she couldn't be here today because she's home doing that. And so she does all the work. I just get to travel with you and have fun. These are some of the smiling faces of the people that have traveled with us. Not lately, because we haven't done a whole lot in the last year. We've pretty much been out of business. You might recognize us from the last time we were here, that we were Carolina Cruise and Tours. So recently, we have partnered with a new organization. It's the World Travel, and they're one of the world's leading cruise agencies and award-winning leisure travel. And the reason we did that is because then we can give you much better pricing, and we get, you know, heads up on all the good deals that are coming up. We are registered with, I think, every cruise line, and so anybody you want to travel with, we can arrange that for you. A lot of our travel is by motor coach, and we're right there with you from the time you get on till the time you get off, to make sure that you know where you're going, you're safe, and my job is to make sure you have fun. So we recently, our first trip since COVID was 2 weeks ago. We went to New England. We flew into Boston, and then our motor coach picked us all up and took us to our White Mountain Hotel and Resort in New Hampshire. We stayed there 5 nights, 6 days. It was a wonderful trip. But again, we are always at your service. Now, how are we different since COVID? The bus holds 56 people. We only took 24, so that every other seat was vacant. People can spread out. We had hand sanitizers and masks for everybody that needed it. So we want to make sure we keep you safe. And but the travel is opening up now, so that we're scheduling things. Our cruises are scheduled for 2022, but we do have some motor coach things that we're scheduling for this year yet. And if you would come and see me out at my booth, just give us your email address so that we could send you an email about the next trip that we have going out, some kind of flyer. And also tell us where you want to go. We want to travel where you want to travel. What's on your bucket list? Because we've been all over the place. And we want to make sure you're going where you want to go. Some of the places we've been in the past here is Washington, D.C. That's, well, I moved from North Carolina to North Carolina from that area, so we know that pretty well. The Amish country, and that is opening up now. The Sight and Sound theater has opened up, so we can go there and see their shows. And somebody asked me where that was. That's in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. So we have lunch or dinner at a farmhouse where they make all the meals and delicious. And we see where they make the buggies and how they do that. We've also done train rides from Elkins. We've been in at the Biltmore, Niagara Falls. Canada's not open to us yet, but hopefully it will be soon. Charleston, South Carolina, it's a great trip, especially at Christmas time. They have everything decorated. We see plays, and that's a good trip. You can see everybody smiling here. We all have fun. Some of our trips. That's Karen in the front and her husband over to the side there. The last cruise I took was October of 2019. We did a Viking riverboat cruise, and that's the first riverboat cruise I had been on. We were in France, Germany, and there was some of my friends from Apex that went along with me. This is some of the people at the White Mountain Resort where we just were. On that trip, we had lunch one day. We had lobster, and it was on used to be a ferry boat, and they turned it into a restaurant right there at the end of the boardwalk. So that was fun. That's Karen's mother. We celebrated her birthday. Any special occasions, we'd love to celebrate with you. On our last trip, we had a couple celebrating their 3rd anniversary. They were both 81 years old. They had lost their spouses and had gotten together, so we got to celebrate with them. Cute couple, always holding hands. And so a lot of people tell me they can't travel because they don't have the time. Well, when you retire, then hopefully you have a little bit more time. I'm sure you have things to keep you busy, but we'd love to have you come and travel with us. So again, Brit Travel, and we're scheduling things. One of the newest deals that we just came up with, Viking contacted us a few days back, and they're doing a Pacific Coast Explorer in April. And if you sign up before the end of September, you get $100 off the room. If you traveled with Viking before, you get $200. We're giving an extra $125. All the guest rooms are veranda. So there's no underneath the water type rooms. They're all up where you can see and have a little balcony there. There's 5 different port excursions that are actually included, and Viking is good at that. Some of your ocean cruises, if you've taken those, you know when you get off to do an excursion, you pay extra for. So the only thing extra here would be your airfare, and we have people all over the United States traveling with us on cruises. So just tell us what airport you would be coming out of, and then we'll make the arrangements for you. So we're Brit Travel. You can look us up, bookwithbrit.com. And again, if you have any family, friends that would like to travel with you, please let them know. Okay. Just one other thing I want to tell you. Friday, I had a lady and her son going on one of the riverboat cruises with Viking. And I met her to give her all her paperwork and everything. Well, she told me she had stage 4 cancer. So don't wait. If you can travel, and her attitude is probably what gets her through this. She said, I'm going to continue to travel as long as I can walk. So don't wait. Come and travel with us. And the only trip that you'll regret is the one you don't take. So come with us. Thank you.
All right, folks, we're going to move along. One thing I did want to mention, Amplifon is a hearing aid service that we have through the association. There's a form in your packet here that you can look at later. If you do have questions about hearing, you can schedule a free appointment to get your hearing checked. Personally, my parents have both done this. My mom was having some trouble hearing. She had it checked. They recommended some hearing aids, and she got them. The hearing was great, and she really enjoyed them, and she thought my dad should go, so he went. He got his hearing checked, and they talked to Dad after the after the check and said, Mr. Rogers, I think that you could use some hearing aids. And Dad went, I hear every damn thing I want to. And so he didn't get hearing aids. And so it's good to get checked out, right? And just make sure that you know what you might be missing some things or not, or you don't care if you are. So next, we're going to run a series of just brief videos. We'll start out with the Access Perks Discount Program. This is an online discount program we have. Take it away.
Let's take a look at the savings website and how it works to save people money on all their everyday purchases. As of today, there are over 300,000 participating businesses in the program, and they're spread out over a variety of savings categories. You can see them here along the left-hand side of the screen. Now, these merchants, they offer discounts anywhere from 10%, 25%, sometimes 50% or more. And the average offer across all the providers in the program is about 36%. Now, if you take the dining category, and that's my favorite, it's one of our most popular, the average savings there is about 44% per redemption. And that covers about 70,000 restaurants nationwide. Now, from here, if you're looking for discounts in your area, all you have to do is type a destination into this top bar. Now, since our program is especially popular with families, I thought I would start us out in the happiest place on earth, Anaheim, California. So let's do that. Wow, that pulls in a whole lot of results. Well over 1,000, about a 20-mile radius. Now, that's a lot, so maybe we should break it down a little by category. We'll start with the dining and food categories, since like I say, that's my favorite. Okay, wow, that's a lot of recognizable names. You've got Burger King, Domino's, Olive Garden, Togo's, IHOP. Looks like you can basically save on every meal of the day if you want, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and dessert. Now, I love Marie Callender's since it pretty much has something for everyone, so I will click on that merchant, pop up a details page, and straight from here, you can just print and save. So click this big Redeem Now button, and you can see it's setting me up to print this coupon. And then from there, I simply take it in, show it to the cashier at the cash register, and now I'm getting half off the price of the second entree, and that probably saved me $5 or $6 on a single transaction. Now, again, that's just Anaheim. So let's look at another destination. Let's try somewhere, let's go right in the center of the country, maybe go to Nebraska. How does that sound? Well, right in the heartland. Let's do Omaha. And if we enter Omaha into the search, again, well, you can see another, well over 100 restaurants. And then if we take off the restaurants filter, we're back up to over 700 businesses in and around Omaha where these discounts are available. So it doesn't matter if you're traveling cross country or shopping in your backyard, you're going to save every step of the way.
Again, that's an online program. We have one version that's free for everyone, members of our association, and then if you want to get deeper discounts, there's a version also, Supreme, I guess, that is offered for $18 a year. Next, we want to hear from the Social Security Administration with a brief video.
My Social Security is a free, personal, and secure account that puts you in control with access to your information anytime, anywhere. Signing up for a My Social Security account is quick, secure, and easy. Just go to socialsecurity.gov/myaccount and select Create an Account. Start by agreeing to the terms of service. Then enter some personal information to tell us who you are and to verify your identity. Next, create your account details like your username and password. Select how you'll receive your security code, either by email or text, and then enter the code once you receive it. And remember to choose email or text under Message Center Preferences to receive courtesy notifications about your account. Once you select Submit, you will have created your personal My Social Security account. It's as simple as that. If you need extra assistance in creating your account, please contact our hotline at 1-800-772-1213 and say, Help Desk. Create your free My Social Security account today. Social Security, securing today and tomorrow.
All right, thank you. I still haven't figured how they write so fast, but all right. Finally, we're going to have a brief video from our State Employees Credit Union. We heard earlier from the Local Government Federal Credit Union, and so here's a brief video on some of the services that the credit union offers.
Are you a member of State Employees Credit Union? If not, take the opportunity to join and experience all the benefits of membership. The credit union offers a wide range of deposit, financial advisory, and lending services, including the SECU Fast Auto Loan and SECU Fast Mortgage. Loan rates have recently dropped, and the credit union has also expanded its fixed-rate mortgage offerings, so now is a great time to consider a purchase or refinance. As contactless service remains a priority, SECU provides secure account access through our website, the SECU mobile app, the SECU automated voice response service Ask SECU, over 1,100 cash points ATMs, and by phone at our 24/7 member services. That's in addition to 273 branches providing in-branch and drive-through services statewide. We look forward to serving you.
All right, now we're going to hear from the SHIP program. Kevin and Diane are going to come up. Come on up, Diane. We want everybody to see you. Come on. Hopefully y'all have gotten by to talk to these folks. They do amazing work for retirees across North Carolina. And Kevin's going to talk to us a little bit about Medicare fraud today as well. So Kevin, come on up.
Thank you, Richard. Appreciate it. Good afternoon. As Richard said, I'm Kevin Robertson. I'm with the Department of Insurance. We have Diane Traynor with me as well. Diane works in the western part of the state, but we bring you greetings from our Insurance Commissioner, Mike Causey. We thank Richard and his staff for allowing us to be here as part of the program today. Go ahead and advance here. Again, we're housed in the SHIP division where we answer Medicare questions, and our role is we also talk about Medicare fraud, and that's what I want to discuss with you a little bit. So our program, we've been around, we're actually housed in every state and the 4 territories. So there's 54 programs. So I just want to remind you, we're fortunate in North Carolina because we're housed in the SHIP division at the Department of Insurance. So we have a lot of great information where other states, the SMP program may not be housed within their SHIP program, or it may not even be housed in the Department of Insurance. So we're all in one, which is great. But our goal is to really empower seniors to prevent Medicare fraud, look out for what is potential fraud, and report it. Some of you may have seen some articles saying that Medicare is 100% solvent to 2034. Well, I'm going to talk a little bit about how big of a problem fraud is here in a little bit, but it's an amazing amount that if we could stop the fraud, we could probably extend the solvency at 100% of the benefits for many years to come. Now, as I mentioned, we're housed at the Department of Insurance in the SHIP program. Our SHIP program works with volunteers across the state. We actually have a local agency in every county here, and we have about close to 1,000 volunteers that are trained and certified to assist with Medicare questions in North Carolina. And the great thing is that our SHIP volunteers are cross-trained to be SMP volunteers as well to talk about potential Medicare fraud. Our services are free. There's no charge. So we're here to assist consumers. Now, I talked about as a big number, $68 billion is the amount of money that Medicare loses annually to Medicare fraud. So here on this chart, I've broken it down per day for the year. Think about it, $186,301,370. I think that's enough money for one day for all of us in this room to have for the lifetime, right? So think about that number for each day that Medicare is losing because of Medicare fraud. Now, the Journal of Medical Association actually says that the number could go as high as $83.9 billion. So that's astronomical. Again, I mentioned our role. We're here to help prevent Medicare fraud through education, outreach, and counseling endeavors. Now, here's how we want you to help stop Medicare fraud. Do not give out your Medicare number to anyone other than the folks, your doctor's offices, and the providers that you do business with. Protect your Medicare number just like it's your Social Security card or your credit card. And never provide it to anyone who contacts you through unsolicited calls, texts, or emails. Now, how many of you have received a call saying that they're calling you from Medicare, asking you about it's time to get a new Medicare card or to verify your number? Guess what? Those are all scams. They are just trying to get little pieces of information from you so they can actually commit healthcare fraud on your behalf, or to bill services to your account, which could cost you in the future as well. So also, how many of you have a cell phone and you've looked at, you got your phone ringing and you look at it and you see yourself calling yourself? So we've had that. I've even experienced that as well. So one of the things we want you to know is Medicare is never going to call you. They're not going to come to your door either to talk to you. They're going to send you something in the mail. Just like Social Security. Social Security is not going to call you either. They're not going to come to your door. They will send you something in the mail right to your address. So we got some tips. We want you to read your Medicare summary notices. Now, I know many of you, you say, well, by the time I go to the doctor, then by the time I get my statements, it's been 3 to 4 months because Medicare sends out their statements on a quarterly basis. But one of the things you can do is keep a healthcare journal. When you're going to the doctor's office, before you go, write down all the questions first that you want to ask. Then when you leave there, write down everything that you guys talked about and what he did, so that when you do get those statements 3 or 4 months later, you can go back and match it up to make sure everything is correct on those statements. Now, the good thing to do is if you have questions once you get those statements, call back to your doctor's office. They will be glad to help answer your questions for you. Now, if you still think after that, if you call back and you still think it's potential fraud or a mistake or something, you can call our office. We will talk with you over the phone, or we can have somebody to sit down in your local agency to let's look at it to see if it is potential fraud. And if we do determine that it's potential fraud, we will actually report it to the Office of Inspector General for them to prosecute those individuals. And it has happened. I mean, you wouldn't believe it. Matter of fact, here's some of the current scams that we are seeing in North Carolina. We're actually seeing some folks that are saying that they're receiving calls about uploading their CDC vaccination card to a website to get a gift card. That is a total scam. So they're trying to scam you right away to get your vaccine information to steal that for some other purposes. I've already said Medicare is not going door to door, and they will not call you for anything either. Genetic testing is the next item here. So we've heard some people say, hey, I've been asked that I can do genetic testing, you know, the ancestry of me, all that. So ancestry is legitimate, but still you have other people out there trying to say they can do these genetic testings very similar and it won't cost you anything. Well, guess what? That's not the truth. Now, Medicare will pay for genetic testing, but there's certain criteria that has to be met for Medicare to pay. And there's like 4 different items that have to be done in a special order for Medicare to actually pay for that. So if you do get scanned by one of these events, you could be up for the charge of $7,000 to $12,000 out of pocket for those tests. So be very specific about who you're talking to about your health care, not some random caller over the phone wanting to do that. Durable medical equipment. How many of you received a call and they say, you know, have you got back issues or leg issues or elbow or knee issues? Again, they're trying to scam you. They're wanting to get your doctor's information so they can fax a report to your doctor saying that you need this piece of medical equipment, because then they're going to send it to Medicare to get reimbursement for it. And it may or may not be covered, because a lot of times what we're seeing happens with those types of scams is that they are going to send you the most simple brace that could be paid for by Medicare. However, they're going to charge Medicare for the highest price item. So we don't want you to be scammed out of that. And to think about this, so Medicare will pay for a wheelchair for someone, a motorized wheelchair, but you got to remember, Medicare is only going to pay for one motorized wheelchair in a lifetime, and that's the motor part. So if you're getting the low-end model and you actually need a higher-end model at one time, then you may be out of pocket for the final one if you do have to have another one. So that is a scam right there, and we don't want you to fall for those items, because if you need something, we want you to be able to get the one that you're needing. And the last item is the service is not rendered. That they may send on your statement, you may actually see something that maybe you didn't go to the doctor's office for. I had a gentleman who contacted our office, said that he went for an elbow because he was playing tennis and he started having some tennis elbow, but when he got his statements, they had actually billed for a knee replacement surgery. That's a whole different part of the body that I know. So let me give you some stats from last year. I know we're in a pandemic the past 18 months or so, but just last year we had 239 fraud cases in North Carolina related. And our staff and volunteers did 160 outreach sessions and presentations, most of them all virtual because of the pandemic, but we reached close to 24,000 individuals during that time. And then, of course, with our media outreach events, we had 510 of those, and we reached over 6.6 million individuals in North Carolina. Now, one of the things I want to mention to you really quickly is it doesn't hurt to ask questions to your providers for statements, okay? It doesn't hurt. We're here for you. We want you to ask questions. We want you to help prevent the Medicare fraud. I got another quick story. I know I'm trying to help us get back on schedule here for Richard to give out those door prizes. But I had a lady to call our office, and I spoke with her. She goes, I think my husband is having some Medicare fraud happen. I said, okay. I said, well, tell me what's going on. She goes, well, there's two issues I've got. She goes, either my husband's alive and I don't know it, or hospice is going to his graveside and doing services on a daily basis. So here's what was happening. The hospice provider was trying to fish to see if his record number was an active number. Because once somebody passes away, they used to reuse those numbers every 5 to 7 years. So this hospice provider was trying to see if that was an active number so they could potentially bill other services. But they billed the wrong one because this lady was actually watching the statements and looking what was coming in the mail. So she contacted us, and we was actually able to submit that to the federal government. And even though they was billing for a penny, they did lose their hospice licenses for doing that. So it doesn't hurt because in the long run, you pay. I know many of you have the state health plan, but as we heard earlier, you know, fraud costs can make individual costs go up. And if those of you that may have a Medicare supplement, if you're not reporting any potential fraud and your supplement is paying for these items that you're receiving or not receiving and you're not reporting it as fraud, then that can make your costs go up as well. So we really are encouraging you to let us know about potential fraud. Now, Diane, she lives in Asheville, but she covers basically anything west of I-77. So she is always available to do presentations in this region. So if you have a faith-based group or a civic group, you can feel free to reach out to us and we will put you in touch with Diane if you would like for her to come and talk to your group. She does a lot of presentations at senior centers, civic groups, foster grandparent programs, senior companions. So just know that we're here for you in more ways than one. So thank you all for allowing us to come, and thank you, Richard, for having us.
Thanks, Diane. All right, folks. Those of you that were live streaming us with us today, we appreciate your participation and look forward to seeing you down